Yes, a very good morning and a warm welcome to the CA Intermediate Auditing and Assurance batch. Yes, so CA Intermediate, in your group 2 you have a subject called as the Audit and Assurance, Auditing and Assurance rather. Yes, 100 marks theory subject. Yes, that is what is the special or the peculiar feature of this particular subject, that for 100 marks you need to write and write and write. So you've cleared your CPT, I think now again called as the foundation, right? So you've done your foundation, in which now you have some amount of objective questions also and some subjective questions also, like some MCQs and some other ways, and you've already passed that particular hurdle, or a milestone in becoming a chartered accountant. Then after that, now you have reached at the intermediate level, right? Intermediate levels where there are two groups, group 1, group 2. In case, if I am not wrong, the latest syllabus or pattern of ICAI says that for starting your articleship, any one of the two groups you need to clear, or probably in our times it was like compulsorily that both groups had to be cleared. After my exams, then it was like group 1 has to be cleared. So anyways, ultimately for becoming a chartered accountant, one or the other time you have to clear both the groups of intermediate and then obviously even both the groups of CA final. Right, so earlier intermediate it used to be like 4 and 3, 4 subjects in group 1 and 3 in group 2. Right, now that has changed, rather it's become equal to 4, 4 in both. Yes, 4 in group 1 and 4 in group 2. Right, so what are the 4 subjects in your group 2? 1, over there you have your advanced accounts. So in group 1 you have accounts, and group 2 you have the advanced accounts. Second one, the subject which I'll be teaching you, that is auditing and assurance, that is the ANA. Right. Third one, over there you have the EISSM, that is probably the new name which they've given for information technology, enterprise information system, and little bit of management studies. So you also have the SM, that is strategic management over there. Right. And the last one you have FM and the economics for finance. Yes, FM and EFF. Right. So what I notice in group 2 is that it is loaded with theory. And now there are two categories, two varieties. One who say that we are very good with practical, some others who say we are very good with theory. So there is one group for each one of you. And so one group which is more of practical and the other group which is more of theory. Right. So this batch is certainly being for the new course students, like those who are registered for the foundation, intermediate and final. In case if any old syllabus student is also going through this batch, it is not going to cause any harm to you. Right, because there are whatever was there in the old syllabus, 70% of it continues to be the same. Right, and then we have a little bit of new chapters which are being added, rather not added, I could say they've been shifted from CA final audit to CA intermediate audit. Okay, so at foundation level, yes, no introduction, no clue of what audit is, no subject, no passing hint also of audit in your syllabus. Right, and then after 10th standard or whatever, you might have thought of, okay, now I will have taken commerce. So once you take commerce, only mainly 3 things left in life: law, MBA, CA. CA, CS, CMA, they come into the same cadre. And then probably you don't, okay, if your family history is of chartered accountancy, then you know what is chartered accountant, or some of your relatives have done, then you know what is the CA course. Otherwise general impression CA, वो एक तो tax का return filing something what you hear of, and second what you hear is audit, and you know कि March उनका busy season होता है. Okay, so that audit, though it is a theory subject if you look at it per se, but practically, technically speaking, there is no other subject which is as practical as audit in your syllabus. because you know all listed entities, all cooperative society, bank, insurance, each and every type of entity that you talk of now, even though if you talk of these LLPs, that is the limited liability partnerships, even those are required to be audited. Right, so lot of auditing which is evolved, and see, you'll say, madam, what auditor does? Even after that, there is the Nirav Modi people coming around, and there is PNB scam. So that is how the world works. Obviously, it's not that it is how it should work, but it is working. So we can always try to improvise and learn from our mistakes, and probably change the government and try it that way. Okay, right. So auditing and assurance, right? So I'll come to the word auditing a bit later. First, we need to look at the word assurance. You're giving an assurance to someone means what? You're giving a guarantee, you're giving a sort of a warranty, you're giving some sort of bharosa, okay, yes, I am telling you it is right, you please believe in me. It's like you're giving an assurance. When you go to buy a particular product, say from Vijay Sales or Chroma, they give you an assurance कि this product का quality बहुत अच्छा है, आप आँख बंद करके ये product खरीद लीजिए, आपको बिल्कुल problem नहीं होगा. बहुत सारे लोग हमारे यहाँ से ये product लेके गए हैं, they have also been satisfied, बहुत ठीक से चलता है. तो क्या एक भरोसा मिलता है ना, फिर confidence मिलता है कि हाँ हाँ ठीक है, ये product मैंने खरीद लेना चाहिए. So in the similar context, you know, before buying a product, you want some assurance regarding that product. Similarly, as I'm very sure you know, equity share capital, ESC. When you want to invest your money in the equity share capital of a company, you want some assurance. Again, you want some bharosa. Okay, whether I should invest in this company or not, what if how is the top management of the company, what is the future of the company, how has the business performance of the company been, so many thoughts. No, because see, you are investing 1 lakh rupees, very good, you know, if after 10 years or 20 years you get 40 lakh or 50 lakh rupees, but what if your 1 lakh rupee converts to 523 rupees? It's a big risk over there, right? So that is why there is the company, they need to appoint an auditor, and then this auditor, he will do the checking, he will issue a report, he will give you an assurance saying that yes, whether this company is working effectively, whether they are working fine, whether their books of account, whether their financial statements are reflecting a good position, or whether this company does not have a bright future, you should not invest. This is just like one I have told you, okay, very important for the shareholders, the stakeholders, the investors, this assurance. But apart from that also, when we go deep to the first chapter, we will be studying that there are many other reasons also why an assurance is required. Okay. Right. So first, let me on the onset say that mainly for the mode of communication in the class, as you might have already noticed in the first 5 minutes, that I will be speaking in English. Okay, now sometimes, you know, like this time when I uploaded my lectures on YouTube, some amendment lectures, obviously not all. So one student, he put a comment over there saying, Madam, Hindi mein bhi bol lo. So now see, I can speak in हिंदी, तो ऐसी तो बात है नहीं कि मुझे हिंदी आती नहीं है, आणि असं पण नाही आहे की मला मराठी येत नाही, कारण मला मराठी पण येते, मी महाराष्ट्राची आहे म्हणून मला मराठी पण येते, and by birth I am a मारवाड़ी, तो जिका वास्ते मैंने मारवाड़ी पण बोलता हवे. But the fact is that you need to write your paper in English. And see, I am not going to speak any high level or something which even I don't know or don't understand, that type of an English. And so whatever is the basic requirement, you know, whatever are the technical terms of the subject, basic formation of sentences, that much English, yes, certainly as a requirement for your preparation for the subject, I will be required to use. Okay, so please don't have a mind block. You know, those students who tell me, कि madam, no English, I am not able to get, I always tell them that please give me some time. And 3-4 lectures, 4-5 lectures, you continue to listen to me with perseverance and lots of patience. No, I have to understand what madam is trying to say. And see, you won't even realize, you'll say, आदत पड़ गई अभी हमको अंदाज़ा लग गया है, अभी हमको समझ में आने लग गया है, मैडम क्या बोल रहे हैं. And see, this is, though the pain is right now, okay, you have to listen to my lecture in English, but it is very, very helpful in the exam hall. Because when you've studied a concept in English, that is how the concept has entered into your brain. That is how it comes out in the exam hall. You remember those words, how you've studied it. And rather, that is the exam-oriented language which is required in the CA exams. And writing in your own language, not done over here. You have to then CA, that is come again. And every time that you write on your own. Okay, so please, like for English, have some patience, give me some time, okay. I will be over a period, as you listen to 4-5 lectures, I am very much sure that you will be comfortable. Right, then regarding the book which we will be using, this is the first edition as per the new syllabus of the Auditing and Assurance book, CA Intermediate for Group 2. So this is the book from which I will be teaching you. If you ordered the pen drive or you're looking at a franchisee in the virtual batches, then also this book will be provided to you. Okay, so this is going to be my main content, the course content from which I will be teaching you. Okay, apart from this, yes, suggested RTP practice manual, that we'll talk of it as required, but yes, 95% of whatever is required for the preparation is covered in this book. Okay, then the amendments which come, we'll talk of that a bit later. Okay, so this is regarding the material, then I've already told you regarding the language. Right, then third thing which I want to tell you is that nowadays, like there is a lot of trend, यानी वो बोलते हैं ना आजकल हवा का रुख बदल रहा है. So it's like, there is a lot of trend for students opting for pen drives, यानी कि they are looking into the online mode. Okay, so see, you might say it is a bit difficult at intermediate level, we are so used to classroom, 10th tak, then 11th, 12th also, then college also, now we are in classroom, accounts SFM bhi classroom mein karte hai. So again, see, as a teacher for me also things have changed. Now probably I don't have those many number of students in front of me, but because all of them are looking into the lectures through pen drive and virtual or download format or some or the other way. Okay, so most important ingredient for your pen drive purchase or investment which you have made for it not to go waste, कि ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए यार मैंने तो पूरा पेन ड्राइव खरीद लिया इतना पैसा देके और मेरा पैसा तो पानी में चला गया, या you lose the momentum, is only one thing, is sincerity. You have to be dead sincere. मतलब whatever happen on earth, you have to make a schedule for yourself, and till the time I am sitting over here for recording a particular lecture, you also have to just block everything of the world away and you have to listen to me. Please don't think that the teacher is not in front of me. No, whenever, after 1 year from this date of recording, or after 2 years, or after 30 days or 1 month, whenever you see the lecture, please understand that I am connected to you. I am very much concerned about you getting the concept of understanding the concept and understanding the lectures very properly. And see, like I'll be giving my email ID is there on the books also, plus to begin with only I can put my email ID. It is aarti9@gmail.com. So whenever you have any query in between of studying of the subject or after or any such query, you please send me an email for the same. And see, nowadays, all thanks to Google, that and my Samsung phone, wherein I keep on getting a notification for every email or every YouTube comment which I get. Sometimes it becomes too much, but then I say, no, this is the way I can give a prompt reply to the students. So once you put an email, in the subject, write something CA Inter Pen Drive student, write something, so that I come to know that this is a pen drive student and is having some query. Okay, and then you put your queries over there. In a day or two, I will reply. But please, please ensure that your pen drive money is not wasted. And it's a luxury, sitting at home nicely, mother serving hot food, just at your own. You want to see the lecture at 12 o'clock in the night, you want to see at 5 o'clock in the morning. You can't tell a faculty, that madam, tomorrow I want to see the lecture at 5 o'clock. But to the pen drive, yes, anytime. Yes, so it is a wonder, you know, कि for my time I said I never had these pen drives, you know, because of which I never did a class for audit and also subjects. Like only practical subjects we used to do the class. And then there is one more, okay, madam, we feel sleepy. After 10-15 minutes, our antenna connection, our FM ka channel changes. We go into the dream world. Again, all these are excuses. See, again you have the liberty, because it is a pen drive class, you can put it on pause for a minute or two, not more than that. Splash some water on your face, okay, no checking WhatsApp, no checking Facebook, because it's not a WhatsApp or Facebook break, okay, it's just that you splash some water, you put some sugar in your mouth or whatever little bit, you just move your legs, hands, neck a bit and start again. Don't pamper yourself. No excuses allowed. You know, it's a big problem in becoming a chartered accountant. So because now, right now you are at the intermediate level. You build up your capability, you build up your competence, then you would be better for the preparations for CA final. Okay, right. So on the onset, I think I had to give you all this briefing. Yes, in the beginning, before I could start with the breakup of the syllabus and what are the chapters which we are going to cover, right? And one more, कि ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि I am sitting, मैम का लेक्चर लगा दिया है पेन ड्राइव पे, मैम अपना पढ़ा रहे हैं, आप फेसबुक देख रहे हो, व्हाट्सएप देख रहे हो, अकाउंट्स का प्रॉब्लम कर रहे हो या एफएम कर रहे हो, कॉस्टिंग कर रहे हो. नहीं, जब आप कॉस्टिंग कर रहे हो तो ऑडिट मत करो, और जब ऑडिट कर रहे हो तो कॉस्टिंग मत करो. You have to listen to it very carefully. See, there is no teacher in front of you right now, you know, whenever you are seeing the lecture to, you know, move you or to stare into your eyes, or you're getting scared of somebody, okay, I should not do. See, self-imposed discipline is going to be required. Okay, right. So, mainly the CA Intermediate Auditing and Assurance syllabus is divided under 4 parts. That is part 1, part 2, part 3 and part 4. Part 1, in which we mainly cover the basics. So, you know, you have one chapter in the basics which is called as the basic concepts in auditing. Then you have the introduction to auditing, right? Then you have the engagement letter, which is to be issued at the beginning of the audit engagement, and whatever the last thing which you issue as a deliverable to your client, which is the audit report. Then you have internal controls. So probably you may not know also what is internal control. So we have a separate chapter for that. Then we have another chapter on the automated environment, yani कि the CIS, Computerized Information Systems Environment, right? So automated environment. Then we have a chapter regarding fraud. Right, then we have a chapter regarding audit planning, audit documentation, risk-based audit approach, and so many such, almost to be brief, some 8 chapters which are covered in the part 1 of your syllabus. Right, so 8 chapters over here. Then after that we have the part 2, in which you have a little bit of like some 20-30 sections from the Companies Act 2013, those sections which are pertaining to audit and accounts. Like, you know, like the qualifications of the company auditor, disqualifications of company auditor, appointment of the auditor, removal of the auditor, powers and duties of the company auditor, and a branch audit. So some few sections of the Companies Act relating to accounts and audit. Right. Then after that you have an additional reporting to be done by the chartered accountant, which is CARO 2016. CARO stands for Companies Auditors Report Order 2016. Right. So there are 16 clauses. So that is also related to company audit. Right. So that's why we've put it under part 2. And then we have one very huge chapter, and at the same time a very scoring chapter, which is the audit of the items of the financial statements. Right. Financial statements means what? You have the balance sheet and a statement of profit and loss, cash flow statement, and then you have the notes. That is the, what is the new name of notes now? Summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. Right, so what are we talking of? The balance sheet. So now in the balance sheet, just as an example, yes, on this side you have the capital and liabilities, and here you have the assets. right? So in the assets you have the property, plant and equipment. Yes, you have the property, plant, equipment, you have cash in bank, you have debtors, you have bills receivable, right? Then on the liability side, you first have the equity share capital, preference share capital, debentures, right? Then you have the provision for taxation, retirement benefit. So what are all these? These are all the different items of the financial statement. Similarly, in profit and loss account, you have purchase, purchase return, sales, sales return, right? Trading account. Then after that, you have rent, insurance, traveling, salary, right? Then you have the other income, then the profit on sale of fixed assets or so. So all these, I think all this, when you would have done company final accounts, you would have come across when you prepare a balance sheet, profit and loss account. So these are all the various items of the financial statement. So how to do the audit of each and every item of the financial statement, like how to do the audit of debtors, how to do the audit of debentures, how to do the audit of building, how to do the audit of goodwill. So that is what we discuss in this chapter of audit of items of financial statement. Okay, so that is the part 2 of your syllabus. So part 1, you have 8 chapters which are the basics, and then you have the internal control, fraud, automated environment. Second one, you have company audit, CARO, then you have the items of financial statement. Then third one, in which you have mainly the 4 different audits over there. One is the government audit. And the audit of the various departments of the government, the various sections and the parts of the government like postal, railway, canteen, CST, right? So government audit, government companies audit, right? Then we also have over there is the cooperative society audit. Yes, Sahakari, what we know it as. So we have the cooperative society audit. Then we have the bank audit. Right, audit of banks, है ना, ICICI Bank, State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, Bank of Baroda, right? So bank audits, right? And last one over there we have the special audit. Special means it's like actually the balancing figure, like audit of a hospital, audit of a college, audit of a club, and an audit of an NGO, audit of a charitable institution. So all these small different varieties of audit are added in the last one. So actually this cooperative society audit and bank audit were originally there in the old syllabus in the CA final audit paper. Now they have been deleted from there and now they have been shifted to your intermediate exams. Okay, so cooperative society and bank audit. Right, and then let me talk about the part 4. Right, what is part 4 regarding? Part 4 is regarding the standards. Part 4 is regarding the standards. Right, so now many students, when I say part 4 is regarding the standards, they get the shock of their life over here. Oh, audit also has standards? Yes. So what they ask? Accounting standards, IFRS? No. Audit has its own standards. Okay, so just to give you a briefing, of what these standards in auditing are, I will discuss that shortly. But first, have you taken a note that these are the 4 parts in which your syllabus are divided? The basics, the company audit part, financial statement part, then the special audits, and part 4 is the part regarding the standards. Right, on an average 120 marks paper. How 120 marks paper? Right, because see the format, now I don't know under the new syllabus how it comes, but generally it is like question number 1 is compulsory, question number 1 is compulsory, which is of 20 marks. Right, and after that from question number 2 to 7, which is like 6 questions, what does it say? Answer any 5 from the remaining 6 questions, and each of these 5 questions is for 16 marks. So 16 5s are 80. So this is how it makes the total paper of 100 marks. But then you have one question in option, no? It says answer any 5 out of 6, and this 20. Right, this 20 plus this 96, and here you in the question number 7 you have this question on write short notes on, and there is a question on write short notes on any 4 out of 5. So there also the question framed, is not of 16 marks, because there are not 4 short notes, but there are 5 short notes, out of which you have to write any 4. So that again makes it of another, yes, what does it say, 20 marks, yes, 20 marks over there. Right, so that is why we say that the paper is not of 100 marks, but it is of 120 marks, yes, 116 marks, and then you have these 4 additional marks which are put in the yes, additional short note which is there over there. Right, so now, yes, coming back to this discussion which is regarding the standards. Right, I was telling you regarding the 120 marks of the paper, what happens is more or less like 19, 20 idhar udhar, but basically each of this part has a weightage of 25 marks in your exams. Like 25 marks are asked from basic introduction, then some 20-25 mark questions from company audit, audit of financial statement, then all these, even if you pick 1, 2, 2 questions, that again makes it 20 marks, right? So government, cooperative bank, special audit around 20-25 marks, and again standards is like 25, many a times it goes up to 30-35 also. Right, so these are the 4 gradients or the 4 parts in which you can understand your syllabus. Okay, right. So now coming to this word standard. Right, what do you mean by a standard? Yes, what do you mean by standard? Yes, it means something which is uniform, which is standardized, which is generalized, same for all. Okay, so now in audit, these standards which have been issued by the AASB, who is this AASB? The Auditing and Assurance Standard Board of ICAI. Auditing and Assurance Standard Board of ICAI. Originally in 1980s, when they first ICAI started issuing standards, they were called as the SAP, that is the Standards on Auditing Practices. What were they called as originally? SAP, that is the Standards on Auditing Practices. Then after that in 2008 or so, they were renamed to be called as the AAS, yani ke the Auditing and Assurance Standard. So in the beginning, they were called as Standards on Auditing Practices. Then after that, they were renamed to be called as the Auditing and Assurance Standard. So rather, when I studied for my CA exams, that time the standards were called as the AAS, that is the Auditing and Assurance Standard. And now lately, the standards, like that's also been more than 8-9 years, that now these standards have been renamed to be called as the Engagement and Quality Control Standards, EQCS. What is it called as? The Engagement and Quality Control Standards. Yes, EQCS, that is the Engagement and Quality Control Standards. Yes, approximately some 46 standards plus additions, deletions keep happening. But yes, 46 EQCS, which is the Engagement and Quality Control Standards, which have been issued by ICAI. So, standards are issued for the purpose of standardization. No? Okay, you can't write this in the exam, but this is for our understanding. Okay, so like as you know, an auditor has to issue an audit report. Okay, so now this audit report, it cannot be everybody, each CA firm cannot issue a report as they like, no. There has to be a standard format of the audit report, and you can just customize it depending upon your client. Right, so that is where the standard comes into picture. So we have a standard on audit report. Then we have a standard on the audit file to be maintained. Then the audit planning to be done, the audit documentation to be done. Right, so now these engagement and quality control standards, as they are now called, the engagement and quality control standards which have been issued by ICAI have been further divided under 5 types. Yes, have been further divided under 5 types. Okay, one, say if you are appointed to do the audit for the year ended 31st March 2018. यानी कि completed financial year, or say 31st March 2012, that's a completed kind of over, financial year is over, and then you are called to check the financial statements of the entity. So that is why, you know, audit is also referred to as a post-mortem activity. कि पूरा accounting हो गया, now CA is called. Right, now the CA is called to do the checking of those financial statements. So CA can either do an audit, which is generally the case, or he can do a review of those financial statements. Now what is a review? We can see that later. But he can be appointed to do an audit, or he can be appointed to do a review. So now when he is appointed to do an audit of the financial statements, he needs to follow the standards on auditing, okay, SA. This is going to be our main ground of discussion, SAs. So what you have in your accounts is Ind AS, IFRS, okay, and you have like, yes, you have the AS over there. In audit, what is mainly there? EQCS is the main heading, but in that also the main one over there is SAS, that is the standards on auditing. And when do you need to follow the standards on auditing? When you are doing an audit. And very clear from the name. Next one, which you can easily guess, if you are appointed to do a review, then you need to follow the standards on review engagement, SRE. And a standard on review engagement, which is the SRE. So very clear, when the chartered accountant is appointed to do an audit of the financial statements, he shall follow SA, standards on auditing. When he is appointed to do a review, he will follow SRE, that is the standards on review engagement. Then after that, other than audit or review, if he is appointed for some other assurance engagement, then he will follow the SAE, that is the standards on assurance engagement. Assurance engagement other than audit or review. So standards on the assurance engagement. Yes, standards on assurance engagement. Then sometimes the services of a chartered accountant are also availed for some related services. Like, you know, sometimes a CA could be appointed to prepare the financial information, to compile the financial information. So in that case, the chartered accountant needs to follow the, yes, in that case, the chartered accountant will be required to follow the SRS. What does SRS stand for? Standard on Related Services. SRS. So very clear, you know, depending upon the variety, accordingly the name is there. Right. So what are the four types of standards so far which I have talked to you about? SA, SRE, SAE and SRS. And whether you are doing an audit as a chartered accountant, or you are doing a review, or you are providing some other assurance services other than an audit or a review, or you are performing some related services to your client, like, you know, preparing, compiling financial information, whatever be the engagement which you are performing, in all cases you have to maintain quality in the services provided by your firm. And for that we have SQC, which is the standard on quality control. Yes, SQC, which is the standard on quality control. How do you ensure? What policy, what procedure should be there in your CA firm to ensure that there is quality in the services provided by the firm? Those are given in SQC, that is standard on quality control. Yes, standard on quality control. So is it very clear to everyone what are the 5 types of standards under EQCS? 1, SA, which is standards on auditing. 2nd, SRE, which is standards on review engagement. 3rd one, SAE, which is standard on assurance engagement. 4th one, SRS, which is standards on related services. And the last one, SQC, which is the standard on quality control. Okay. Right. Now, for your exams, that is at intermediate level, okay, final level, all standards applicable. So, it's rather a repetition. All the standards which are applicable at intermediate, all those standards plus additional all standards and are applicable at CA final. But at intermediate level, one, yes, the standards on auditing, only some 3 standards out of that, that is the 800 series is not applicable for your exams in the standards. Apart from that, the entire standards on auditing are applicable for CA intermediate exam, and also the SQC, that is only one standard for quality control, SQC1, which is also applicable for CA intermediate exams. So what is not applicable at intermediate level is SRE, SAE and SRS. But again, the institute has asked questions regarding what are the different engagement and quality control standards issued by ICAI. So in that case, you have to write down the name of each of these 5 and you have to write in which case which standards are to be followed. And under the related services, we have a standard called as SRS 4410. Okay, these are the numbers of the standard, like 4000 series is for related services. So you have SRS 4410, which is regarding the compilation engagement. So one exam, question number 7, which I told you is generally regarding the short notes. It came question number 7, write short notes on compilation engagement. So if you ask me technically, okay, ma'am, it is not applicable for intermediate, but it has come in the exams. Yes, 100% I agree with you, but that is how ICAI works and you have to get used to it. That's like, welcome to the world of becoming a chartered accountant. Okay, right. So SRS 4410, one exam they asked a question, compilation engagement. Okay, so students immediately think, madam आपने बताया था ना कि 4 out of 5 questions are asked. So ये compilation engagement का छोड़ देंगे, बाकी 4 तो पूछ लेंगे. But obviously बाकी 4 तो लिख देना है, but then you should be in a position to write them. No, if you have learned and covered your entire syllabus, by when your attempt is in May, by March, April, see February I get an inquiry ke how should I plan my study or so. And by March, April, I start getting, madam, what are the important questions? Which are the chapters which I should study? What should I read? What can I leave? So rather, ICAI asks you difficult questions and you make my life difficult by asking such difficult questions. How on earth can I answer? What are the difficult questions? What are the important questions? Most likely questions? Very difficult here. If it would have been possible, no need to cover entire syllabus only. And see, at the end, still we attempt because your mind or your heart doesn't listen to yourself unless and until you don't know the important question. But it's a theory of probability. Okay, it may come, may not come. It's again a little bit of luck element over there. So if you want to, increase the amount of luck in your life, what you do, you cover the entire syllabus. Automatically your luck will increase. Because now there won't be any question apart from what is out of syllabus which you don't know. Okay, right. So S is, yes, I told you apart from the 800 series, the entire series, all standards applicable, and quality control we have only one standard. See, under SRS we have 2 standards, under assurance engagement we have 3 standards, review we have 2 standards, and SAs we have some 37 standards over there. Right, so 37, 38, 39, yes, then 42, 43, 44, 45. Right, so 45, 46 standards, and out of this 37, 34 are applicable for your exams. Why 34 applicable, 34 or 35, I don't know whether 701, there is a new standard issued, whether it's in this count, right? So that is 34 standards applicable for your exams, and plus this one quality control standard. So are all those 34 or 35 standards there in this book? Yes, they are all there. Am I going to cover all 34 standards, 35 standards in one go? Absolutely no. Very difficult here. Yes, so what we are going to do when we do the part 1, I told you, part 1 is regarding the basic and introduction. So that time I'll be covering some 10-12 standards like basic concepts, and with that engagement letter, audit report, whatever are the related standards regarding the basic concepts, there and there itself we will finish. And then you have the last chapter in your books in which all the other standards which are not coming in a particular chapter have been put over there. Right, so first few standards we'll be doing them with the chapters. Then after that the remaining standards, as and when we are studying cooperative society, bank audit, and we'll mix and match. We'll do little bit of the chapters remaining apart from the part 1, and then we will also cover the standards. But will all the standards, all the question bank will covered in this particular batch? 100%. See, I am going to give my 100%. Your task is that you have to listen to what I say, and you have to first listen to the lecture, and second you have to listen to what I am telling you and accordingly implement. Okay. Right, so at least now you know what is the menu card of your syllabus. Auditing and assurance, what is going to be asked or what is going to be there, what we are going to study in this particular batch of say approximately 90 hours. Yes, 85 to 90 hours. Let's see how it goes. It might finish in 80 also. So should not happen कि मैम ने तो recording में बोला था 90 hours का है पर हमें तो 75 hours का ही मिला है. No, don't worry, okay? There are better things of which you should worry rather than just trying to, cross check numbers of मैम ने lecture में क्या बोला और actually हमें क्या मिला. Okay, see, I know you should get what is right, perfect, so that you will get, don't worry about that. Okay, so because this is my first recording, as you can say, for the intermediate new syllabus batch, so even I don't know exactly how many hours would be required. But yes, whatever time is required, very nicely, very comfortably, we will be covering the entire syllabus. Not to scare you on day 1 or the first lecture in the first hour of what you are listening to me, but yes, part 1 of what I am going to teach to you is a bit of a roller coaster ride. It is actually something which at times becomes a bit difficult to digest. It's like, बाप रे ये तो बहुत technical हो गया. Okay, this thought is going to come. You will be like, मैडम नहीं समझ रहा है, मैडम ये क्या, ये कैसा है, क्योंकि प्रॉब्लम है ना, अभी आर्टिकलशिप स्टार्ट नहीं हुआ है एंड यू आर ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ टू डू द ऑडिट ऑफ अ लिस्टेड एंटिटी, तो थोड़ी तो दिक्कत आएगी. But yes, if you keep the patience, if you keep on continue to listen to me, then you will get a grip of what I'm doing. That I can guarantee you. But see, you have to sit. No, I can't sit on your behalf to listen to the lecture. I can speak on my behalf. So you have to sit and listen to the lecture. So part 1 is going to be a bit technical. Thought is going to come to your mind, कि madam, when chapter 2, chapter 3, 4 starts, no, बाप रे ये कैसे होगा, ये इतना difficult है, ये याद कैसे करे, ये learn कैसे करे. Okay, it's all going to come, but it is normal. Okay, all those who have become chartered accountants, all of them have studied this. So you are no one to be spared from the process. And yes, the other part is on the lighter part, like company audit you will enjoy. Students are very fond. बोलते मैडम अब मजा आ रहा है पढ़ने में. So I know that. But you have to take the bitter pill also and the sweet pill also. Some medicines are sweet, some are bitter, but all are required. Is that okay for everyone? Right. So starting with the first chapter, yes, chapter 1, which is regarding the introduction to auditing. Yes, chapter 1, which is regarding the introduction to auditing. Yes, it's a byproduct of audit class. Okay, your English also becomes better. It's complementary with the audit class. And those of you who have probably come back from your local, from the smaller cities or towns, okay, and now you are in a metro city or in a city like Pune, Hyderabad, some better, bigger town as compared to the place where you've been living with. You've already been zapped with by looking at things around, okay, how well polished, how how things are different, how everything, world moves in a different way over here, how some people carry themselves. You feel that, hey, I don't have that confidence, I can't speak like that. Continue to listen to audit, you learn to speak. Understand, you have to be comfortable in whatever you are into, you know, whatever you are saying, whatever you should know, then you will be able to speak. Okay, so I have made my maximum effort to convince you, you know, that please, please, please be very sincere in attending these lectures. Make a promise to yourself, yes, that you will be listening to the lectures dedicatedly, not that one day you will see the lecture for 8 hours and then next day you won't, next 2-3 days you won't see any lecture. No, every day 2 hours, 3 hours, and 3 hours, you know, 1.5 hour, one lecture, 2 hours, depends. So you see that much of lecture every day, religiously, no Sunday break, nothing. Get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, start the recording, see the lecture. And again, if you think in the evening you need a brush up, again have a look at the lecture. Yes, is it okay for everyone? Right. So coming to the first chapter on Introduction to Auditing. Okay. So what about this word audit? From where has this word originated? From where has this word come? Okay. So I'm very sure, you know, you've heard of audio CDs and video CDs. Okay. So video where you can also see the visual, and audio is where you can only hear. Okay, so you say now audio means what? Only audible, only what you can hear. Okay, so the word audit has also been derived from the Latin word audere, and audere, which means to hear, and which means to hear. Okay, so this concept of auditing started in the Greek and Latin government departments, wherein the government accounts were being maintained, and they wanted some third persons or the public, you know, they wanted it to be checked, okay, whether these accounts have been maintained in a proper manner, whether these accounts are authentic, whether they are genuine. So they appointed a third person, an outside independent third person, who used to come to those government offices, and he used to hear, you know, all the accounting which have been done by the employees working in the government department. So an independent third person coming, you know, and listening to what accounting has been done, and then listening to the accounting. Okay, he obviously is a person whom they call will be a person who is very familiar with accounting, who knows what is accounting. He listens, he hears to what has been done, what accounting, what entry, what income, what expense, what asset purchased and everything, and then he expresses his opinion. Then he expresses his opinion, saying that yes, these accounts have been maintained properly, or no, their purchases are not correct, their expenses are not correctly booked. Okay, so that is where is the origin of audit. So today also the same, what you say, basis continues, that there is a company which maintains its accounts, there is a third person who comes and who checks, but now obviously he can't listen. You understand ना? If you go to Infosys or if you go to TCS and tell them कि ठीक है देखो मैं audit करने आया हूँ तो आप मुझे सुना दीजिए आपने क्या क्या entry pass किया है, तो do you think it's going to be practical? No. तो अब सुनने का part बहुत मतलब है, अभी भी you have to make inquiries, ask and you have to listen, but that is one of the part. It's ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ सुन के ही audit हो जाएगा. Now तो you have lot of use of computers also, lot of other audit procedures and techniques also which you apply in doing the audit, but the base is the same. Okay, one person, one company has done the accounting, an independent third person is coming and he is going to do the verification that whatever accounting has been done by you, whether it is okay or not okay. And it's like, you know, some third person expressing an opinion. Like you also, you have some problem or you want to share something to someone, so you call one of your friend who doesn't know, say something in the family or so, and you ask him, okay, what is your opinion? So you tell him, and then that third person, you ask the third person for the opinion. No. Right. So the word audit has been derived from the Latin word audere, which means to hear, means to listen. And why are you listening? In order to check, in order to express an opinion. And on the lighter side, you know, there is one more definition, or what you say, interpretation of audit which you can have, is like, you know, all you do is tick. है ना, you might have seen के auditor जब भी audit को आते हैं, they generally have one pen which has green, blue, black, red colors, है ना, refills on it, and then whatever numbers they take, you know, they put these reverse tick on top of that. And you do the checking, के entry, amount, period, everything, whether it is right or not. So that is also what is called for audit. You know what you do in audit? All you do is tick. So that is AUDIT, which is audit. Right. So now let's come to the definition of auditing. Right. So now here we are going to mainly talk about the financial statement audit. The definition which we are going to discuss right now is mainly the definition for a financial statement audit. What do you mean by financial statement? Yes, I just told you in the introduction first, balance sheet, then you have the statement of profit and loss, then the cash flow statement, and then the notes, which are now also referred to as the summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. And you also have the statement of changes in equity if applicable. And so in some entities you may also have the statement of changes in equity if applicable. Okay. One more point before I continue further. Along with this book, so this book you will be referring, but along with this book you also need to keep what you say, a 150 or a 200 pages notebook, yes, a long size notebook with you. Yes, so whatever I am writing down in the, yes, in the journal file, so as in when you are seeing the lecture, you may also write down along with me. This is one very important way to keep you awake. Okay, and second important thing is, because of this you happen to write, and writing practice is very important in audit. Okay, so very important. It's not that, you know, okay, you just keep on listening and just seeing at what I am writing over here. Okay, you also have to copy down whatever you consider it to be important. Okay, some part of it you can also mark it in the notes. Like later on I am also going to be opening the notes along with you, and I'll also be doing some marking in the notes only, like, you know, over here. Right, so this is like the definition of auditing. So I am also going to be doing some marking over here. So you can also do the marking. So now for that, one, I told you, you need to buy a 200 pages notebook, right? Second, I want you, if you don't already have, I want you to buy some color pens, maybe a red, green, yellow, red, green, blue pen, and I want you to buy 1 or 2 highlighters, right, and a few post-its. So I have told you 4 things to buy. One, I have told you to buy a notebook. Second, I have told you to buy 2-3 color pens. Third, I have told you to buy 1 or 2 highlighters, and the fluorescent green, pink, whichever color is good for you. And last, I want you to buy a few post-its. Okay, don't think that you are going to attend an art and craft class, but yes, and the book is, you know, black and white. We need to color it. Okay, it should look attractive when anybody, not for anybody, for yourself also, when you have to study from this particular book. So our focus is not to decorate the book, but obviously to highlight the important stuff. Some students, they over highlight. So sometimes I even have a question, okay, what is to be highlighted is to be studied, or what is not highlighted is to be studied. So you can't overdo the highlighting or the marking part of it. But yes, certainly you need to use color pens, you need to write down the keywords, the important words in block. You have to bring your book to life. So, you know, then there are some keywords, there is no place over there. So what you do, you take a post-it, you write it over there, you put it over there. Then sometimes now I prepare a chart in the book. So now what you are going to do, say I have prepared a chart regarding, say, example, advantages of an independent audit. Now, in your notebook also you will be writing page number 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, in your notebook, say this is your notebook. Okay, in that you have written this, say, on page number 3. And this is your textbook, and in your textbook, say, I don't know, right now I have not seen, but say advantages of an independent audit are on page number 5. So now what you will do, in your textbook, you will give a reference over here, NB5. Means regarding this particular advantages, I have made some notes in my notebook on page number 5. And in your notebook, you can also write over here textbook page number, sorry, notebook page number 3 and here textbook page number 5. यानी कि cross referencing. So in your notebook you have written कि TB5, कि in my textbook page number 5 का related notes are here, and in your textbook you have written कि notebook page number 3 are the related notes. So I won't keep on mentioning this again and again, you need to just develop an habit of doing this referencing. Okay. Then sometimes it may so happen that I may go on the next topic of discussion, the next concept of discussion, and you might be busy listening to me, and that is why you did not get time to copy down. You were like confused between copy karu ya sunu, what out of the two should I do? So obviously first preference should be given to listening, understanding. And then if you think कि ये तो मुझे मेरे notes में लिख के निकालना है, ओके फोटो वोटो वो स्क्रीन का निकालना नॉट डन यार, यू हैव ऑलरेडी सो मेनी फोटोज, फिर वो क्या होता है, वो चार्ट का फोटो ढूंढने में और 100 फोटो देखते हो तो और आधा घंटा निकल जाता है. Okay, so that is not to be done. So what do? You have listened to my concept. During the listening of the concept, say for any reason you were not able to write. So now what you are going to do, you can just pause the video. You can pause the video, you can copy down that particular chart and then you can continue. Okay, because later on then I get mails, okay madam, can I get the, can you email me all the charts which you have prepared during the class? See, actually I don't have any such concrete charts which I prepare. I always prepare it in each of the class where I teach. So I make them fresh for you, you also prepare it for yourself. Okay, so in case if you are not able to copy when I am teaching, what have I told you? You may pause the video, you may copy it down in your notebook, do the cross referencing and then go to the next concept. Is that clear to everyone? Okay. Right. So, I told you the definition which we will be discussing for auditing is going to be the definition for a financial statement audit. Right, what do you mean by financial statements? Balance sheet, statement of profit and loss, cash flow statement, statement of changes in equity if applicable, and the summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. Okay, right. So now, yes, let us study, have a look into the definition of auditing. So what does the definition say? Audit is an audit is an independent examination. What is audit? It is an independent examination of what? Of financial information. Audit is an independent examination of financial information of any entity. So any entity means, what does it say? Whether profit oriented or not, whether it is a for-profit organization or a non-profit making organization, whether profit oriented or not, irrespective of its size or legal form, irrespective of its size or legal form. Okay, we'll continue. First let us see so far. Audit is an independent examination of financial information of any entity, whether profit oriented or not, irrespective of its size or legal form. What does it say? When such an examination is conducted, when such an examination is conducted with a view to express an opinion thereon. When such an examination is conducted with a view to express an opinion thereon. Right, so this is the complete definition of audit. What does it say? Audit is an independent examination of financial information of any entity. Which entity? It says whether profit oriented or not, irrespective of its size or legal form. when such an examination is conducted with a view to express an opinion thereon. Yes, so 4 parts in the definition. It says independent examination, financial information, any entity, and expression of opinion. Right, that is the definition of audit. So audit means to check, to verify, to examine, to review. So that is the examination. So independent. Okay, why independent examination is so important? Right? Why can't you just tell an employee of your organization that you have prepared the account, some another employee, you tell him that you check it and give a report? Why independent opinion is required? Yes, so that there is no bias, so that there is no conflict of interest, so that there is no subjectivity, there is no partiality. Right, so we are also going to discuss a separate short note on the independence of the auditor. Right, so what does it say? Once again, repeat the definition with me. It says audit is an independent examination of financial information of any entity, whether profit oriented or not, irrespective of its size or legal form, when such an examination is conducted with a view to express an opinion thereon. Okay, right. So now first we've already understood the term financial information, because financial information could also be referred to as the financial statements, which is balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow, statement of changes in equity if applicable, and the notes. Right, and now let's come to the next term, any entity. Any entity, so whether it is a section 8 company or a not section 8 company, that is profit oriented entity or not, irrespective of its size, whether the company is having a turnover of 1 crore or 100 crore or 10,000 crore or 20,000 crore, irrespective of its size. So it's not that only a company having a profit of 10 crore or having a turnover of 10 crore. No, it says any entity you can get your financial statements audited. Not necessary that only those which are profit making entities. You could be a non-profit making entity also, irrespective of its size or legal form. Yani ke it could be a listed entity, it could be a unlisted public company, it could be a private company, it could be an LLP, it could be a Hindu undivided family, it could be an AOP, association of persons, it could be a partnership firm, it could be a sole proprietorship, irrespective of its legal form. So not necessary that only a company is required to get an audit done, sole proprietor need not get an audit done, or a partnership firm need not get an audit done. Yes, legal requirements are different. Company, so it is mandatory that they have to get an audit done. But for partnership firm, it is nowhere given in the Partnership Act as such that you need to get an audit done. But for LLP, it is mentioned in their law that they have to get an audit done in their act. So legal requirement for getting an audit done is different. But voluntarily, can any type of entity get its financial statements audited? Yes, any type of entity can get its financial statement audited. So what does it say? Financial information, any entity. Right, now independent examination. Okay, so now throughout our class, I am going to take the example that the name of our client is Geo Limited. Right, so this is the auditee, who we can call it as, because person doing the audit is called as the auditor. So obviously my client would be called as the auditee. So I can call them as auditee or my client, that is Geo Limited. Right, and the example of the auditor which we will be taking is, say, PwC. So PwC is going to be the CA firm, the CA audit firm who is going to do the audit of Geo Limited. Right, you might be knowing that PwC is one out of the 4 big fours. Yes, one out of the big fours, right? You have the 4 big fours, yes. You have Deloitte, then you have KPMG, right? You have EY, that is Ernst & Young, and then you have PwC, that is PricewaterhouseCoopers. Right, so these are known as the big fours. Many students aim, that once I clear my enter, you know, I want to do my articleship in a Big Four. Okay, but I don't know now what is the criteria exactly, but I think general policies for Big Four across the country is that if you want to do articleship in a Big Four, both groups should be clear. Like otherwise, institute articleship rules, what do they say? Any one group clear or first group clear, you can start with articleship. But these Big Fours, they've set their own norms, you know, they say both groups cleared, okay, because already so much of work pressure over there. So both groups cleared, and then you can start with your, you know, then only they take you as an article in the Big Four. Okay, so many students, you know, they aim that yes, I want to do my articleship in a Big Four. Okay, so you know, that's a thumbs up, you know, a complete yes if you are having such a positive and such a nice thought, you know what's a Big Four and you're even thinking of doing the articleship over there. But again, it has its pros and cons. Okay, so if you want to set up your own practice, if you want to do tax, what you say, day-to-day, middle, what you say, cooperative society bank type of work, then a middle-sized firm should be good for you. And if you want like corporate exposure, listed entity audit exposure, going to the same client for quarters and quarters together, and then like for 4 times in a year and years of your articleship, then yes, specialization you want to do in a particular department, then you can do your articleship in a Big Four. But you want exposure of all types of audit. You say, मुझे cooperative का भी audit करना है, bank का भी करना है, partnership firm का भी करना है. So that then you can go for a middle or a small sized firm. But it's always a feather in the cap, or it's a tick, you know, always. Even 1 or 2 years of experience of working in a Big Four, irrespective of what you want to do later on, is always a yes, complete yes. Okay, right. So what is going to be the name of our firm? PwC. And what is going to be the name of our client? Geo Limited. Okay, so now say probably this Geo Limited, okay, it wants a loan from the bank of 2000 crore. And Geo Limited managing director decided that their bank, their company, it requires a loan from Apna Bank. And how much loan do they require from Apna Bank? 2000 crore. Okay, and now this managing director of Geo Limited has prepared these financial statements of Geo Limited, wherein the balance sheet and profit and loss account has been prepared. And right now their profit and loss account is showing a loss of 700 crore. And in their profit and loss account there is a loss of 700 crore. And he knows that now I have to go to the bank because I want a loan from the bank of 2000 crore. Do you think any bank is going to give them a loan of 2000 crore when that entity, the company which wants a loan from the bank, the borrower who wants the loan from the bank, has reported a loss of 700 crore in the previous financial year? And you might have heard that banks do something called as assessment of the credit worthiness of the borrower before sanctioning a loan. You have to submit a lot of documents to the bank, you know, before the loan is sanctioned. Okay, so now the managing director knows this. Okay, if these financial statements I take to the bank and I ask the bank that bank, please give me a loan of 2000 crore, they are going to kick him. And then they are going to throw him out of the bank, saying that, see, it is not possible for us to give you this loan of 2000 crore. Why? Because you are a loss-making entity, no future probability of growth in your business. So that is why no, we cannot give you a loan. Okay, so now this managing director knows that with these financial statements, if I go to the bank, these guys are going to kick me. So what he does, that is why he prepares financial statements or tells his employee or tells his son who has recently become a chartered accountant that beta please अपने कंपनी को ना बैंक से लोन चाहिए, तो 2000 करोड़ का लोन मिलने के लिए जैसे फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स की बैंक को रिक्वायरमेंट होगी वैसे तुम अपने कंपनी का फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स बना के मुझे दे दो. Okay, so now this employee has to be like following the instructions of the boss, no? So this employee now prepares the financial statements of Jio Limited, which are showing a profit of 600 crore. So, you know, all bogus recording of sales, no recording or under recording of purchases, and a fictitious assets being recorded, liabilities not provided for. Yes, have you heard this term before? What I am talking of right now is referred to as window dressing, showing a better financial position than what actually is. Showing a better financial position than actually is. दिखावा करना. You understand? Simple language, no? Showing a better financial position than what actually is. यानी कि showing better by applying butter. Is this their real financial position? 600 crore profit? No. What is their real financial position? 700 crore loss. Okay, so window dressing, they are doing fraud, है ना? Fraudulent reporting is being done by the entity. Okay, better financial position than what actually is, that is window dressing. I think you might have come across this term before also. Okay, so now with these financial statements prepared, now what are their financial statements showing? They are showing a profit of 700 crore. So now with these financial statements prepared, if the managing director goes to the bank, is there a higher probability that now the loan will be sanctioned? Yes, is there now a higher probability that the loan will be sanctioned? Yes, because 700 crore profit in a year. So, you know, just over a period of it might increase to 1000 crore or so. So, a very good profit making entity. Okay, so then he says, yes. Now with these financial statements, if I go to the bank, certainly I will be able to get the loan which I require for the future expansion or whatever strategy they've decided for the company. Okay, so now this managing director goes and meets the branch manager and says that I want a loan of 2000 crore. So branch manager asks, have you got your financial statements? So he says, yes, I have got them. He knows that he'll ask for those. So immediately he gives, and then the branch manager is going through those and he says, oh, 600 crore profit, 700 crore profit, very good. And a 600 crore whatever, 600 crore, 700 crore profit. Okay, he asks, who has prepared this? He says, my employee, you know, he is my right hand. I tell him whatever work, he does it so diligently. So he has prepared this. Okay. Who prepared? Your employee prepared. Who checked? I checked. I can check that much. I had that much time, so I checked it. Again, now the bank branch manager says, get out. Okay. Why? He says, now I have prepared financial statement, 600 crore profit, rather than giving me a loan of 2000 crore, you are telling me get out. Why? What is wrong? He says, you prepared these financial statements. Has any independent third person checked these financial statements? He says, no. So then the bank says, how can we rely on such financial statements? How do I have an assurance that there is no fraud, there is no error in these financial statements? Please go back and appoint a chartered accountant, a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and get the financial statements of Jio Limited audited from this fellow, the financial statements. Let this chartered accountant issue an audit report on these financial statements, and then after that come back to me for getting a loan from the bank. Okay. Now this managing director again with a sulky face comes out, and now he says, I need to search for a CA. So, you know, one of his relative has done a CA, or say recent past his son has become a chartered accountant. He calls them and he says, अरे वो मैं बैंक गया था लोन लेने के लिए, बैंक ने बताया कि फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट सीए से चेक करा के लेना पड़ेगा, तो थोड़ा है ना उसके ऊपर एक रिपोर्ट बना के दे दो हमारे फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स का. फिर वो सन ही कम्स and he has a look at the financial statements prepared, है ना, which are showing a profit of 600 crore. And he is like, you know, new chartered accountant now, so very proud. It is certainly something of which you should be proud. But he is like new charm. So he says, yes, I know how to check. I have done class for audit, inter, final, board, standards, vendors. बहुत ज़बरदस्त किया था मैंने. So then now he starts. And then he says, पापा ये sales का मुझे इसका recording का दिखाना. Recording के इसके supporting documents, invoice वगैरह मुझे देखना है. फिर वो बोलेगा ये प्रोविजन का तो एंट्री नहीं दिख रहा है, रिटायरमेंट बेनिफिट, टैक्सेशन, नो एंट्री बीइंग सीन. तो ही सेज पापा ये नहीं है, पापा आपके कंपनी में तो ये नहीं है. तो पापा बोलते हैं अरे यार तू तो कल परसों का सीए बना और यू हैव स्टार्टेड बैक आंसरिंग, यू हैव स्टार्टेड रेजिंग योर वॉइस. So then son comes under pressure, he might feel bad and then he may say okay papa ठीक है, I will give you a report saying that your company's accounts are clear, है ना, fair, good. Okay, now again with these financial statements and the audit report, now the managing director, he goes to the bank and he says, see, you wanted a report of a chartered accountant, now look over here, I've got the report of a CA. So now report of the CA, financial statements, profit of 600 crore, बेचारा बेटा he knew कि this is not true, सही में company का इतना profit नहीं है, but be under pressure because of the relation, he had to say that ये सब ठीक है. Okay, and he says ये देखो I've got audit report, ये financial statements, देखो auditor ने भी बोला है company का accounts clear है, fair है. Okay. So then again branch manager starts looking at that audit report, financial statements. Yes, कौन से CA से आपने report लिया? बोले वो CA अभी मेरा बेटा अभी CA बना ना, अभी के एग्जाम में, लास्ट एग्जाम जो हुआ था उसमें, तो I have taken the report from him. Again the branch manager says get out, है ना? No, I again still cannot give you a bank loan because still I have a doubt regarding the credibility of the financial statements. Why? Because even though you have got your financial statements verified, checked from a chartered accountant, you have not got them checked from an independent chartered accountant. है ना? What did I say is the definition of audit? Audit is an independent examination. Okay, so why? Because son is doing the checking. No, so there is a probability that son might be unbiased also, but there is also a probability that the son might be biased also. So that is why it is very clearly mentioned in the definition of audit in the first line itself that audit is an independent examination. Later on in part 2, I will be taking you to a few sections of the Companies Act 2013. And just to give you a briefing of that right now, just to give you a glimpse of it right now rather. Okay, Companies Act 2013, there is the section 141 subsection 3 over there. Companies Act section 141 subsection 3. Which is regarding the disqualifications of the company auditor. Okay, 9 disqualifications given over there. Okay, person who is a chartered accountant but still he cannot be appointed to do the audit of a company, of an entity. Of a company, because we are talking about Companies Act. Okay, so disqualifications. One of the disqualification over there is officer or employee of the company. So if you are working in Geo Limited, you are a chartered accountant, you are a CA in practice, can you do the audit of financial statements of Geo Limited? No. Officer, employee of the company, not allowed. One more disqualification, it says the person himself, yani कि I, a chartered accountant, or I am a partner in a CA firm. So my partners, say there are 4 more partners in my firm. So I myself, my partners or my relatives, what is definition of relative and all that we will study when we go to company law. It says even though if you or your partners or your relatives are holding even a single equity share, an equity share of Geo Limited, you cannot be appointed to do the audit of Geo Limited. So as simple as that, I am proposed to be appointed as an auditor of Geo Limited and I am holding 1 equity share of Geo Limited. Can Am I qualified to be appointed as an auditor of Jio Limited? No, I am not qualified. Am I qualified to be appointed as an auditor? No, I am not qualified. I am disqualified. Why disqualified? Because Companies Act section 141 subsection 3 has put it in the disqualification. Person, partner, relative holds any security of or interest in. Then for relative there is some exception and lot of detailing over there. But here I want you to give you a glimpse of the concept of independence of the auditor. So see, Companies Act has also taken so many steps to ensure the independence of the auditor. You know, like we say 15th of August 1947, yes, like India became an independent country. So independent means what? And no Britishers to rule us. And no salt tax to be paid on salt, and nobody to say okay, what clothes we need to, what material cloth we need to use, and so no Britishers to decide for us. We can decide on our own. So we said that India became an independent country. So similarly, just as the country could decide on its own, it says let the auditor decide on his own. Okay, whether the financial statements of the company prepared, are they right, are they correct, are they fair, or are they not. So do you understand? Audit is an independent examination, unbiased opinion I want. You know, one of your auntie, she has come wearing a bright pink color sari with a bright pink color bindi on top of it, bright pink color bangles she is wearing. You know, ekdam flashy look she is having, and now she is asking, you are her very sweet nephew or niece, and she is asking you, oh beta, how am I looking? Okay, I am very sure you are going to say, auntie, you are looking amazing, mind blowing, out of the world, this color is looking too good. This might be true also, you might be genuinely liking it also. But there is also a probability that you are finding the color to be a bit too loud on her, or it's not complementing or suiting her that well. But still, you know, just to keep her heart, just to make her happy, are you giving an independent opinion? Are you giving an unbiased opinion? No, there is a bias. So what is audit? It is an independent examination of financial information of any entity, whether profit oriented or not, irrespective of its size or legal form. When such an examination is conducted with a view to, yes, express an opinion thereon. Right. So once we've done this independent examination of financial information of any entity, what is the ultimate objective? We have to express an opinion. Right. And how do we express an opinion? Expression of opinion is done where? It is done in our audit report, which we issue at the end of the audit. So, you know, the audit report is called as the Independent Auditor's Report. Look at the title of the audit report. The title of the audit report itself is called as the Independent Auditor's Report, wherein the auditor expresses an opinion on the financial statements. Yes, financial statements means mainly we are talking about the balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow statement. What is reflected in the balance sheet of the company? Yes, what is reflected in the balance sheet of the company? The state of affairs, asset liability position. So that is the state of affairs. We say balance sheet as at 31st March 2019. Right, so state of affairs. Profit and loss account, what is reflected? The profits or the losses for the year ended on that date. Right, and cash flow statement, what is reflected are the cash flows of the entity. Yes, the cash flows of the entity. Right, so now as an auditor, though this is not specifically covered in this chapter 1, but yes, it is an expression which is used by the auditor to express an opinion. It is the term used by the auditor to express an opinion on the financial statements. And what is the term which is used by the auditor to express an opinion on the financial statements? True and fair. And true and fair. And okay, we have examined the balance sheet, profit and loss account, we write, and according to the information explanation given to us and to the best of our knowledge and belief, the financial statements, the balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow statement give a true and fair view. Give a true and fair view of the state of affairs, of the profits of the company and the cash flows of the company for the year ended on that date. So when they write state of affairs, that means balance sheet, right? Profits means the profit and loss account, and cash flows means the cash flow statement. Right, I will be showing you the audit reports of a few companies, but right now what does it say as we go further? Right, independent auditors report, the expression of opinion is on the financial statements. And what phrase is used by the auditor to express an opinion on the financial statements? Whether or not the financial statements give a true and fair view. Okay, very long time back, okay, the phrase used by the auditor to express an opinion was called as true and correct. Okay, correct means correct. No, मतलब there is no second. मतलब एक बार correct है तो ऐसा नहीं कि गलत भी हो सकता है, ऐसा तो you can't say. Correct means correct. Right, correct would mean, so correct that time, you know, more the focus was on the mathematical accuracy of the books of accounts. है ना, earlier, okay, this is not now, this was there earlier, है ना, true and correct, wherein the focus of the auditor was on the mathematical accuracy of the books of account. Like, you know, say the company has some furniture of 1 lakh rupees. Okay, to that they have charged a depreciation of 70%, and that is why depreciation for the year is coming 70,000, net block of the asset 30,000. Now, what the auditor said, 1 lakh cost of asset into 70%, okay, is the mathematically, is it right? Is it coming to 70,000? Is the balancing coming to 30,000? Yes, true and correct. So only 2 plus 3, 4 plus 6, 4 into 2, 5 into 2, mathematical accuracy. Not checking, you know, whether this 1 lakh, does it also include the incidental expenses, you know, which are related to the bringing the asset to its use, what you say, condition put to use. Okay, that is not considered. 70%, have you ever heard in your dreams that an asset being depreciated at 70% furniture fixture? Has he checked the rate of depreciation? No. Has he checked whether the invoice is in the name of the client? No. Only 101 lakh into 70%, 70,000. Okay, so that time more focus was on the mathematical accuracy of the books of account. Whereas now the focus has shifted from true and correct to true and fair, wherein now the chartered accountant also checks for a mathematical accuracy, so yes only, but in addition to that, okay, many more things. So we call it in a broader term as reliability of financial reporting. Reliability of financial reporting, heavy term to listen. Yes, reliability of financial reporting. Yes, financial reporting means what? Yes, financial reporting. Yes, abhi to your accounts is called as accountancy and advanced accountancy, and advanced accountancy in group 2. Once you go to CA final, okay, their group 1 accounts is now referred to as FR, that is financial reporting. So reliability of financial reporting could also be in our very simple languages, reliability of accounting. ओके तो ये बहुत बड़ी ज्ञान की बात बताई है मैंने आपको आज कि फाइनेंशियल रिपोर्टिंग मीन्स व्हाट, इट्स सिंपल भाषा, सिंपल लैंग्वेज, इट मीन्स रिलायबिलिटी ऑफ अकाउंटिंग. तो रिलायबिलिटी ऑफ अकाउंटिंग मतलब ये जो इन्होंने अकाउंटिंग किया है, वेदर दिस अकाउंटिंग इज रिलायबल और नॉट. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? अकाउंटिंग रिलायबल है क्या, मतलब रेट ऑफ डेप्रीसिएशन बराबर है क्या, कॉस्ट ऑफ एसेट बराबर है क्या, वेदर द डेप्रीसिएशन हैज बीन चार्ज फ्रॉम द डेट द एसेट हैज बीन पुट टू यूज, है ना, प्रो राटा प्रोपोर्शनेट डेप्रीसिएशन. WDV, SLM, when the recognized methods for charging depreciation, whether those have been used or not. Do you understand that? That is reliability of accounting. So now the focus has shifted from just checking the mathematical accuracy of the books of account to reliability of financial reporting. So earlier the phrase used by the auditor to express an opinion long time back was true and correct. Now the phrase used by the auditor to express an opinion is true and fair. Okay, so once again let us summarize what is the definition of audit. What is auditing? Auditing is an independent examination of financial information of any entity, whether profit oriented or not, irrespective of its size or legal form. When such an examination is conducted with a view to express an opinion. So what opinion do you want to express? Whether the financial statements reflect a true and fair view of the state of affairs, profits and cash flows of the entity for the period ended on that date. Yes, is it okay for everyone? The definition of auditing? Okay. Then after that, after the definition of auditing, you have the first important question over there, given that as an auditor, in order to express this opinion, what are the points which you are going to check for? In order to express this opinion, what all are you going to check for this expression of opinion? So this definition of auditing I have just finished discussing with you, expression of opinion. Yes, is it okay for everyone? Right, so now what does it say? The person conducting this process, has everybody opened the book, Introduction to Auditing, chapter 1? Okay. Yes, conducting this process should perform his work with knowledge of the use of the accounting statements and should take particular care to ensure that nothing contained in the statements will ordinarily mislead anybody. So should they be leading or misleading? And to that branch manager of the bank, the financial statements which were taken showing a profit of 600 crore, were they leading or misleading? Yes, certainly they were misleading. They were not leading financial statements. So how can he check whether the financial statements are not misleading? This he can do honestly by satisfying himself that. Right, so this is a very important direct question which can come in your exams. So you can mark it as important over here. Right, so this is an important question. Right, so now say financial statements of the company, यानी कि say example balance sheet if I take from the financial statements, this balance sheet का all numbers which are coming, that is liabilities and assets and all the figures which are coming on the face of the balance sheet, they are coming from the schedules, which are all there in the notes to account. Okay, you have FA schedule, proper PPE, property plant equipment schedule, you have investment schedule, debtor schedule, right? So you have the detailed elaboration over there. In the schedule, these numbers are coming from the TB, that is the trial balance. Yes, am I right? Okay, right. Then in the trial balance, from where are these numbers coming from? The ledgers, buy balance carried down, to balance carried down. So from the ledgers. In the ledger, these numbers are coming from the books of prime entry, that is the journal, wherein you have a voucher for each and every entry which is being passed into the books. And in the journal, these numbers are coming, these numbers or this entry is coming on the basis of the voucher. Voucher means the supporting document. Like, say if you purchase a new AC or, say a new laptop or so, you would have the invoice for the same, no, so regarding the laptop which you have purchased. You understand? So that's the supporting. Then you have fixed assets account debit to bank account. Right, so that's the entry. Then this entry, the posting is done into the ledger. Then it gets reflected to the TB. From the TB, it comes to the schedule, and from the schedule, it is coming to the financial statements. Do you understand? For the first step, to ensure that the financial statements do not mislead anybody. Did you get this word? It should not mislead anybody. For this first word to hold good, it says the entries, the accounts should have been prepared on the basis of the entries in the books of account. The accounts have been drawn up with reference to the entries in the books of account. Okay, so very important. What is the first point as an auditor? While expressing an opinion, first point, the accounts should have been drawn on the basis of the entries in the books of account. Because practically many the accountants, they do not require any books of account or so to prepare financial statements. Okay, their simple requirement is what? Yes, what is their simple requirement? Tell us how much profit you want to declare and how much tax you want to pay. Accordingly, we will prepare the financial statements and give it to you. Okay, no need, हमें कोई records नहीं लगते, हम खुद ही आपका बैलेंस शीट बना लेंगे, खुद ही P&L बना लेंगे, आप सिर्फ एक्सपेंस वगैरह सब हम खुद ही बुक कर देंगे. No need for any financial statements. Will such financial statements give a true and fair view? Certainly not. So what does it say? The account should be drawn on the basis of the entries in the books. Now, next one, it says these entries in the books of account. These entries in the BOA. What is BOA? The entries in the books of account should be on the basis of the underlying records. So again, you know what has happened? तुम बोलते अच्छा entry accounts में जो भी आता है वो books के basis पे आना चाहिए क्या? ठीक है. So what do? You open Tally, you create a new company and बैठे बैठे क्या करे? बस entry pass करे. And you started passing entry, fixed assets purchase, bank account open कर दिया. Now, in reality, have you purchased any fixed asset? No. Have you booked any sales? No. But सिर्फ entry pass कर दिया. Okay, अब ऐसी bogus entries के basis पे whatever financial statements you prepare, again are they going to be leading or misleading? They are going to be misleading. So that is why what does it say? एक तो account should be on the basis of the entry. Entry should be on the basis of the voucher. Okay. Then during the year you made 10 payments. You made 10 purchases during the year. What happened now? Out of these 10 payments, only 7 payments ka you have passed the entry into the books. 3 expenses you have not recorded only. So again in this case, will the financial statements give a true and fair view or will it not give a true and fair view? Simple, 12 lakh ka kharcha kiya during the year, only 7 lakh recorded in the books. Yes, is it true or not true? Is it true and fair or not true and fair? It is not true and fair. Other hand, 12 lakh ka kharcha kiya, 19 lakh book kiya. Is this right? No, under recording also not right, over recording also not right. True and fair means it should be what it is, not what it should be or what you want it to be. You understand? So third point over there, none of the entries in the book should be omitted. None of the entries in the BOA means books of account should be omitted. You understand? So what is point number 1? See, you understand, you try to get a link of the points. Right, so what is point number 1? The accounts have been drawn with reference to the entries in the books. Second, entries in the books are adequately supported by underlying documents. Yes, on the basis of the underlying adequately supported by underlying papers and documents. Right, then third one, none of the entries in the books of account have been omitted in the process of compilation and nothing which is not in the books has found place in the statements. Yani कि none of the entries is omitted, means there are 20 purchases but you have recorded how many? Only 17. That should also not happen. Or on the other hand, there are only 5 sales invoices but you have booked 18 sales invoices. Okay, so both way, what is there it should not happen that it is not reflected, and what is not there, it should not happen that what is not there also you have reflected. One, what is there has not been shown, and second, what is not there has been shown as if it is there. And a both way manipulation is not allowed. You understand? I repeat once again. Okay, purchases, has it been made? Yes. How many purchases made? Only 10. But how many recorded? Only 7 recorded. So what is happening? Entries in the books of account have been omitted. Or sales, because generally every company, what they will try to do, they will try to show less of purchases and more of sales in order to show a better profit. Okay, so now for sales, what does it say? How many sales have been done during the year? Only says 7 sales invoices during the month or day, 7 sales invoices. But actually how many recorded in the books? 12. So it says no. Any entry which doesn't take place should not find its place in financial statements, and it should not happen that any entries which has taken place but it is not there in the financial statements, right? So that is point number 3. Okay, none of the entries should be omitted, or no such which is just not there should find its place in the financial statements. Point number 4. Okay, the financial statement should be clear and unambiguous. Ambiguous means what? Which is not clear, in other words again. Okay, like if you see jelly as a substance, can you see through jelly very clearly? No, it is like, opaque type. So unambiguous means it is not clear, it is vicious. Okay, so it says the financial statement should be unambiguous, that is, they should be clear. It should be clearly reflected. Okay, what is the profit before tax of the company? How much is the profit after tax of the company? How much is the depreciation? What is the salary expenditure, rent, insurance? So what does it say? It should be clear and unambiguous. Then next point, it says that the disclosure. Okay, so point number 4 is over here. Right, point number 4, its information conveyed by these statements is clear and unambiguous. Point number 5, it says the financial statements amounts are properly classified, described and disclosed in conformity with accounting standards. So whatever disclosures, whatever amounts have been given in the financial statements, those should be in conformity, यानी कि in accordance with GAAP. GAAP means the generally accepted accounting principles, or you can simply call it as AS or Ind AS, IFRS, whatever it is. So whatever are the disclosure requirements of the accounting standards, like say AS 19 for leases or so lease for less than 5 years, more than 5 years, like AS 20 which is for EPS, which is the earnings per share, so diluted EPS, basic EPS, adjusted EPS, whatever are the requirements of the accounting standards when it comes to the disclosures, classification, amounts to be included in the financial statements, it should be as that which is permitted by the accounting standards. And finally, it says it should lead to a true and fair view, because I told you ultimately this is the opinion to be expressed by the auditor, okay, whether or not the financial statements give a true and fair view. Okay, conformity with AS. Right, so first 3 points are interconnected. Yes, do you agree? First 3 points are interconnected. Point number 1, starting point you have to remember. Okay, accounts, matlab whatever financial statements are being prepared are on the basis of the entry. Point number 2, entries are on the basis of the underlying records. And point number 3, none of the entries are eliminated, omitted, or those which are not there should not find their place in financial statements. That is one set of 3 points. Second, it says financial statement should be clear and unambiguous, in conformity with AS, and it should give a true and fair view. And now the statement of accounts, यानी कि the financial statements present a true and fair picture of the operational results. Now operational results are reflected by the P&L, statement of profit and loss, and of the assets and liabilities, which is reflected by the balance sheet. So do you understand how much have we studied so far? Only half page. And what is there in that half page? One, the definition of audit, and second, in order to express an opinion, in order to ensure that the financial statements are not misleading, what all should the auditor check? That's in order to ensure that they are not misleading. Okay. So we just did the definition of audit. Right now in your books, if you look at what is the next heading given over there, it is regarding the objective and scope of audit. Okay, now in simple, if I want to keep the standard part of it away, because here little bit of essay, standard on auditing, I am going to get into picture. Basic in simple language, if I have to understand what is the objective. Yes, what is the objective of an audit? It is to express an opinion. It is to express an opinion on the financial statements, whether they give a true and fair view of the state of affairs results, that is the profit or loss, and the cash flows of the entity for the year ended on that date. Okay, but now if I look at what is the objective of an audit from the perspective of SA 200 is what I want to discuss with you right now. Okay, so SA 200 is the first standard which I am going to discuss with you. So very initially when I had started taking these, was teaching standards in one of my class, and then I told, okay, so the first standard which we would be studying is SA 200. So one student, he had a very innocent query, Madam, 200 means how many? 200 standards are there? No, that I have already told you, okay, there are 45 standards which are there. Out of that, some 36 standards which are applicable for your exams. Okay, so this is just the series of standards which they have issued. Like, you have standards in the 200 series, you have standards in 300 series, 400, 500, 600, 700. So just to give you a glimpse, in 200 series, you have SA 200. Then you have SA 210, then 220. Okay, these are just the numbers. We also need to know their names. Okay, then you have 230, then you have 240, then 250, 260, 265 and 299. Scary? Yes, I am showing it to scare you. Okay, I just want you to understand, okay, it's not that you just read audit and you are able to write it in the exams. It doesn't happen that way. Okay, so these are like just I am talking about the standards in the 200 series. Okay, likewise you have the 300, 400 and the other series. So now SA 200, okay, that's the number of the standard. And now let's have a look at what is the title of the standard. In simple words, what's the name of the standard? So SA 200, it's got a big name, Overall Objectives of the Independent Auditor. Overall Objectives of the Independent Auditor and the conduct of an audit, and the conduct of an audit in accordance with the standards on auditing. Yes, big name, really big name. Okay, right. Overall objectives of the independent auditor and the conduct of an audit in accordance with the standards on auditing. So 200 lays down, okay, what is it that auditor you need to achieve in an audit. So that is what the overall objective, and I am very sure you know by now it has to be an independent auditor. Okay. So then the auditor says, okay, now you've told me my objective, so I will achieve it on my own. No, the standard says, and the conduct of an audit. You have to do the audit in accordance with the standards on auditing. So following the guidelines, the principles, the procedures given in the standards on auditing, accordingly, auditor, you need to conduct the audit. Right, so what is the title of SA 200? Overall Objectives of the Independent Auditor and the conduct of an audit in accordance with the standards on auditing. So like in your notes, if you come towards the end of the chapter, like just before the question bank, okay, right, page number 1.10, you see 1.12 point over there, which is SA 200. So you might have noticed that in chapter 1 itself, I am going to be discussing SA 200 with you. Okay, so the entire 200 I am going to cover over here, and then you see after the chapter you have the question bank. So we will be discussing these questions also. So you have a huge, collection of questions given over there. Okay. So now, but what they've done, if you look at the module of ICAI, that objective and scope of audit ka discussion mein they have taken points from the SA 200, that is the overall objectives. Okay, so that's why right now I'm not going to discuss entire 200 with you, that I will do it towards the end of the chapter. Right now I'm only going to discuss the part regarding the overall objective. Right, so did you see in your notes also what is written over there? Right, what is written? As per SA 200. Everybody, have you seen that? Yes, as per SA 200, the name of the standard, what does it say? The overall objectives of the auditor are. Right, so what is the objective of the audit is what we are going to study. I told you in layman language, how can you understand what is the objective of an audit? To express an opinion on the true and fair view. But technically looking at SA 200, what is it? We are going to study right now. Then students have a question, madam, what should we write in the exam? Obviously what is there in SA 200? That expression of opinion, true and fair view is like you will require it at place and again. When you go further, you will be understanding that. But if you are asked in the context of 200, this is the overall objective which you have to write. Right, so now this part is again a bit technical. Right. So PwC has been appointed to do the audit of Jio Limited, and now PwC wants to know कि करना क्या है, exactly audit का objective, मकसद क्या होता है audit करने का. So the standard says auditor, the overall objective of the auditor is to obtain. Obtain means प्राप्त करना, हासिल करना. To obtain a reasonable assurance. What type of an assurance? A reasonable assurance. I told you now, auditing and assurance. So what level of an assurance? Is it 100% assurance? Is it an absolute assurance? No, it is only a reasonable assurance. A reasonable assurance regarding what? Reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement. Financial statements are free from material misstatement. एक pause करना एक बार. Yes. To obtain a reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement. What are we discussing? What is the overall objective of the auditor? To obtain a reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatements, thereby enabling the auditor to express an opinion. Thereby enabling the auditor to express an opinion whether or not the financial statements, yes, thereby enabling the auditor to express an opinion whether or not the financial statements thereby enabling the auditor to express an opinion whether or not the financial statements have been prepared by the management. Whose responsibility? Preparation and presentation of financial statements. It is the responsibility of the company. It is the responsibility of the management. Auditor's responsibility is only to audit the financial statements which have been prepared by the management. Okay, to express an opinion whether or not the financial statements have been prepared by the management in accordance with an applicable financial reporting framework. I told you it's going to be a bit difficult because you don't probably know these terms at all. Okay, once you know these terms, it's going to be better. Okay, so thereby enabling the auditor to express an opinion whether or not the financial statements have been prepared by the management in accordance with an applicable financial reporting framework, and then to report what? The findings of the auditor, okay, whether it is proper or not proper. And how would the auditor report his findings? Obviously in accordance with the standards on auditing. This is the overall objective of the independent auditor. We will study it in detail. Yes, let's repeat it once again. What is the overall objective? To obtain. And an auditor, you have gone for the audit. When you go for the audit, the client will give you, okay, see, these is our balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow and notes. So just say as an example, let me take this paper. Just as an example, saying कि देखो ये हमारा client has prepared their balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow notes. अब आपको क्या करना है? ये financial statements पे you have to obtain a reasonable assurance that these financial statements are free from material misstatement. What will you do with that reasonable assurance? Thereby enabling the auditor to express an opinion, issue a report on it, okay, whether or not these financial statements have been prepared by the management in accordance with an applicable financial reporting framework, and then to report the findings of the auditor in accordance with the standards on auditing. Okay, first let me discuss three terms with you: reasonable assurance, free from material misstatement, and AFRF. What is AFRF? Applicable Financial Reporting Framework. And then we will discuss, then we will try to understand the overall objective again. You might say, madam, सब ऐसा ही है, difficult technical terms, या थोड़ा कुछ simple भी आएगा, advantage, disadvantage, ऐसे points रह गए, फिर आप हमको mnemonics दे दोगे, फिर हम point wise याद करेंगे. Yes, थोड़ा कुछ वैसा भी है और काफी कुछ ऐसा भी है. Okay, but this will also become simpler once you have understood it. Okay, right. So to obtain a reasonable assurance, okay, reasonable. Okay, like you say, when you go for shopping at Big Bazaar or Hyper City or any such more, so many of them are there nowadays. So if somebody asks you, why you go to Big Bazaar, or why do you always order from Grofers or any of these online ones? So what do you say? वो price काफी reasonable होता है. Reasonable means what? It's not very low, मतलब it's not that कि अगर the MRP is 100 rupees, they are giving it for 8 rupees or 20 rupees. It's not very low. It's not 100 rupees also. It's like, 100 rupees ka if you get it at 75 rupees, 60, 80 rupees, 90 rupees, those type. And then you say it's reasonable. तो वैसे it says कि auditor, तुम audit पे जाओ, तुम उनके पूरे financial statement check करो. Items of financial statement एक chapter है ना, अकाउंटिंग स्टैंडर्ड का कंप्लायंस चेक करो, एंट्रीज चेक करो, कोई एंट्री एमिट नहीं हुआ है चेक करो, यू चेक ऑल दैट एंड यू हैव टू ऑब्टेन अ रीजनेबल assurance. Okay, now SA 200 has defined reasonable assurance to be a high level of assurance. 90%, 95%, 99.99% if you wish. High level of assurance, but not an absolute assurance. But not an absolute assurance. You understand? You can say कि मैं तुम्हें 99.9999% I can tell you कि these Geo Limited financial statements are true and fair. But 100% can I tell you whether these financial statements are true and fair? No. 100% I cannot tell you. Why? Not an absolute assurance. It's a high level of assurance but not an absolute assurance. Why you cannot give me 100% guarantee कि ये जियो लिमिटेड का फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स मैंने चेक किया है और मैं आपको दावे के साथ बता सकती हूँ कि इसमें फ्रॉड एरर नहीं है. Can I give such absolute assurance? No. Why you cannot give such absolute assurance? Due to the inherent limitations of an audit. What do you mean by inherent? Which is there by default. Inherent limitations of an audit. Inherent means which is there by default. Inherent limitations of an audit. यानी कि by default there are some basic, what you say, limitations of an audit. Like, you know, you have time constraints, you have cost constraints. Maybe the information provided to you by the management itself is manipulated. So obviously, how is it possible that you express an opinion saying that they are absolutely correct? So we are going to study later on in the chapter what are the inherent limitations of an audit. But for the time being, what does it say? Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance but not an absolute assurance. See, like, you know, you write your exams and you come back and then you try to analyze कि out of 100 marks I will get how much. First thing on earth, I don't know why you do that analysis, but anyways you do it. To check how much marks you are going to get. And then you say कि ये मैंने लिखा है, फिर फ्रेंड के रॉन्ग आंसर के साथ तुम्हारा रॉन्ग आंसर टैली करके खुश हो जाते हो, है ना. एंड देन यू से कि हाँ हाँ ये तो मैंने लिखा है, हाँ ये इतना तो है. कितना भी खड़ूस एग्जामिनर रहा तो भी 2 मार्क तो दे ही देगा. ऐसे some or the other, you know, calculation you do and somehow you convince yourself कि 40 तो आ ही जाएगा, है ना. And then you start your preparation for the next day paper. Okay, and then if you say कि कितना आएगा तो you say 40, तो ऐसे पक्का 40 आएगा तो बोलते मैडम पक्का नहीं बोल सकते, या 70 तो बोलते पक्का नहीं, अराउंड उतना आना चाहिए. So what is that? Is that absolute or is that reasonable? That's not absolute, that is again reasonable. Okay, so in an audit also, like, you know, investors are seeing your audit report and he is saying कि ऑडिटर ने ट्रू एंड फेयर बोला है, तो बोलते हैं लगा दूं फिर पैसा कंपनी में, डूबेगा तो नहीं, तो बोलते हैं रीजनेबल एश्योरेंस दे रहा हूँ, एब्सोल्यूट एश्योरेंस आई एम नॉट गिविंग. Okay, so reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance. We are not giving 50-50 or 40-50 assurance. Okay, we are giving high level, 90%, 95% assurance, but not an absolute assurance. But 100% I am not telling you. Later on, I am going to discuss with you a chapter on fraud. Okay, in that also we are going to see that detection of frauds and errors is not the primary objective of audit. It is the incidental and secondary objective of audit. See, objective of audit is to express an opinion. Objective of audit is not to detect fraud. There is a fine line of difference between the two. Okay, so what is reasonable assurance? It is a high level of assurance but not an absolute assurance due to the inherent limitations of an audit. What are the inherent limitations? We will see it later in the chapter. But for the time being, have you understood the term reasonable assurance? Okay, so to obtain a reasonable assurance, regarding what do you want a reasonable assurance? That these financial statements which are being audited by the chartered accountant are free from material misstatement. अब देखो तुम्हारे लाइफ में कितने नए टर्म्स आ गए हैं. Okay, let's try to understand. Free from material misstatement. Okay, right. Just tell me before I go further, okay, how many of you like watching cricket? Yes, IPL and T20 and whatnot, I don't know. Yes, how many of you like? Okay, you like. Okay. Just imagine, you know, some final or semi-final match going on, ekdam, what you say, climax situation, ke 13 balls and 27 runs or 48 runs required, something to win or something like that. And there is a small 3-4 year child sitting next to you and he is watching cricket for the first time in his life. Right? Obviously, there would have been some day in your life also when you would have seen cricket for the first time. Okay, and now you are all in that fever, tempo of watching cricket, and you are saying 6 over, maiden over, golden duck, power play, third umpire, and what all, boundary, leg, LBW, run out, and so many other terms you are using, wicket. Okay, now this small chap sitting next to you, okay, nowadays so chaps they understand very quickly, but then still, say 2 years or so, he says, ये क्या होता है थर्ड अंपायर, ये अंकल ऐसे स्क्वायर क्यों बना रहे हैं, ये ऐसे ऐसे चक्र जैसे क्यों घुमा रहे हैं, पावर प्ले कर रहे हैं, फिर स्ट्रैटेजिक टाइम आउट होता है, 4 क्या होता है, 6 क्या होता है, ओवर क्या होता है, हैट्रिक क्या होता है. सो ही डजंट नो द टर्म्स. Okay, he is not familiar, so he is not able to make any sense, and you are like watching cricket on top of the world. All inter-audit preparation, CA becoming all that later. First goal is to see the match. You understand na? You don't understand that 10 years down the line also, or 5 years down the line also, that same T20, that same IPL, those same dance, those same audience, and everything is going to be there. But only the dates in the calendar, the pages in the calendar, would have been shifted. And the difference would be कि पूरी दुनिया तो आगे निकल गई, आप अभी भी CA कर रहे थे और अभी भी कर रहे हो, है ना. तो ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. It should become a past कि आप CA कर रहे थे, आपका हो गया है. Okay, cricket match, shopping mall, WhatsApp, Facebook. Okay, I am very much against for students specifically, for WhatsApp, because it kills time like anything. Okay, so that is what, no, so you are not able, so now anyways you are watching the match and the small fellow is not able to understand. Why he is not able to understand? Because he doesn't know the terms only. That is why is he able to enjoy the game? No, he is not able to make any sense only out of it. So similarly, now I am trying to teach you audit. The basic term used over there is reasonable assurance, free from material misstatement, applicable financial reporting framework. तुम तो अभी अगर आपको मैंने ऐसे भी बोल दिया कि I am speaking in Greek and Latin, you will agree. Because anyways you don't understand these terms right now. But once you understand these terms, is there a probability that then you will develop some interest in the subject? You will start understanding, perceiving, having a better apprehension of what I am trying to explain you. Okay, so that's the reason I am breaking the terms and explaining it to you. Okay, it should be like, जैसे आपको क्रिकेट का 6 ऐसे समझता है, हैट्रिक ओवर ऐसे समझता है, वैसे किसी ने मटीरियल मिसस्टेटमेंट बोला तुम्हें ऐसे समझ जाना चाहिए. Then you will be able to write it in the paper. Okay, तो जैसे आपको क्रिकेट की टर्मिनोलॉजी पता है, शायद you can teach me a few more terminology. I don't know also much. Okay, so similarly now what I am teaching with you in the basics of audit is also the audit terminology. Is that okay? Right, so again you have to remember what am I discussing with you is the overall objective of the audit. One term already discussed, reasonable assurance. Next term that we are discussing is what? Free from material misstatement. Okay, misstatement, but just as a style you can call it as a misstatement. Okay, right, what do you mean by misstatements? Misstatement हो गया, misstatement हो गया, क्या हो गया? Okay, misstatement, simple language, first thing could be called as a wrong statement. Okay, now statement has gone wrong, means can we think of an example? Okay, what has gone wrong? Okay, so as say you say, okay madam, inventory valuation done by Geo Limited is coming to 120 crore. You understand what is the inventory valuation? You've checked their inventory ka valuation ka working paper, they are working, and you've seen that inventory valuation is 120 crore. What you did the checking of the inventory valuation as per AS2. So as an auditor you check whether FIFO weighted average has been followed, price, quantity, rate, whether everything has been correctly taken. And what you noticed, okay, as per your working, the auditor expectation, the expectation of the auditor is that the inventory should have been valued at 120 crore. Wonderful. Client has valued it at 120 crore. You have done the checking of their calculation. Even you think that it is 120 crore. Very good. Life is good. True and fair view. No problem at all. But on the other hand, you did the checking for valuation of inventory, and as per your calculation, auditor expectation is coming to 100 crore. Okay, now see, what is 120 crore? What is? This is the inventory valuation which has been done by the client. What is 100 crore? This is what should be as per the requirements of AS2 as the checking has been done by the auditor. Okay, and so what does it say? What is the definition of a misstatement? It says it is the difference between, yes, what is the formula for a misstatement? Difference between what is and what should be. Difference between what is and what should be. What is 120 crore? What should be 100 crore? 20 crore, the difference between the two is a misstatement. In the beginning, I had given you an example, how much depreciation they had charged on that furniture, 70,000. What is this? This is what is. What should be, say as per the expected useful life of the asset, okay, say the depreciation is coming to 20,000, say 20% rate of depreciation. So what is 70,000? What should be 20,000? Difference between the two, 50,000 is a misstatement. So does everybody understand the definition of a misstatement? What is that? Difference between what is and what should be. Okay. Now material misstatement. Have you heard the term materiality? Yes, any item or information which might influence the decision making of the users of the financial statement. And materiality, what we say, which might influence the decision making. Okay, we also have a separate standard for materiality which we will be seeing later, SA 320, which is on materiality in planning and performing an audit. Okay, so now material misstatement. Okay, so now material. So now in the example of Geo Limited, say auditor has taken materiality to be 5 crore. Materiality has been taken to be 5 crore. So in that case, 20 crore ka misstatement, is it a misstatement or is it a material misstatement? Yes, it is a material misstatement. Okay, material I will generally write it as MT and misstatement I will write it as MS. Okay, so is it a misstatement or is it a material misstatement? It is a material misstatement. Why? Because it is exceeding materiality. Okay, on the other hand, say materiality is 100 crore. And how much is the misstatement? 20 crore. In this case, is the misstatement a material misstatement or is it just a misstatement? Yes, it is just a misstatement. Why? Because it is below materiality. Yes, do you understand? It is below materiality. Okay, so material misstatement. So now what is material misstatement? Material difference between what is and what should be. And please understand that misstatement can arise from fraud or it can arise due to error. Yani ki it could be intentional or it could be unintentional. It could be concealed, it could be unconcealed. I know what you've studied in the types of errors. Okay, so now material misstatement. What is material misstatement? Material difference between what is and what should be. Right, then what is free from material misstatement? To summarize, to club it all together, misstatement, material misstatement, now free from material misstatement. What is free from material misstatement? Means there is no material difference between what is and what should be. And no material difference between what is and what should be. So let's come back to the overall objective. What does it say? To obtain a reasonable assurance, which is a high level of assurance but not an absolute assurance. What? That these financial statements which have been audited by the auditor are free from material misstatements. Means what? There are no material fraud or error in these financial statements. And materiality, obviously 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 100 rupee, 500 rupee, immaterial fraud errors we are not talking of. Mainly immaterial errors also. But material fraud and error not there. And regarding that, what are you giving? You are giving a reasonable assurance. And once by doing your entire audit, you have got this reasonable assurance that yes, these financial statements are free from material misstatement, then you will be in a position to express an opinion. What position? Ki yes, these financial statements have been prepared by the management in accordance with an applicable financial reporting framework, AFRF. Yes, applicable financial reporting framework, AFRF. Just some time back I told you what is financial reporting. It is CA final group 1 accounts. So applicable financial reporting framework could also be referred to as the applicable accounting framework. Okay, do you know how to convert active voice to passive voice? I say my name is Aarti, so Aarti is my name, that is active voice, passive voice, no. So applicable accounting framework, if I want to tell it in the passive voice, how would I say? Framework to be applied while doing accounting. Is it okay? Framework, what is the definition of AFRF? It is the framework, it is the laws and regulations, it is the framework, it is the laws and regulations to be followed by the, yes, to be followed by the management, because obviously who is going to prepare the financial statements? The management. So the framework, the laws and regulations to be followed by the management in the preparation of the financial statements. Is it okay? What does it say? The framework, the laws and regulations to be followed by the management in the preparation of financial statements. Example for an Indian company. Yes,
I'm sorry.
Example for an Indian company while it prepares its financial statements, what framework, what laws and regulations should be followed by an Indian company while preparing its financial statements? Yes, Indian company, can you give me an example of an AFRF for an Indian company? Yes, Indian Accounting Standards plus Schedule 3 to the Companies Act 2013. Say example, it's a German company. Then German company, what would be the AFRF for that German company? What would be their applicable financial reporting framework? Whatever is their German gap, right? And plus whatever is the schedule, hai na? Whatever is the format in their financial statements. Right, so Indian company, German company. So I have just given you an example of an AFRF, that is an applicable financial reporting framework. Okay, so what is AFRF? It is the framework, the laws and regulations which are to be followed by the management in the preparation of the financial statements. Yes, is it okay? The framework, the laws and regulations to be followed by the management in the preparation of financial statements. Okay, let me make your life more complicated on day 1 itself. Let me again take you to a journey or just a, a scanning of a few sections of the Companies Act 2013. Why? Because I want you to have a holistic view. I want you to interconnect things. Okay, pay attention. See, this is just on day 1. It's not that I'm only going to speak of these Companies Act sections today. When I go to company law, I will discuss. But because I need to prepare a base right now, I am discussing it with you. Right. Section 129 of the Companies Act 2013 is regarding financial statements. Section 129 says that financial statements of a company shall give a true and fair view if they are in compliance with accounting standards and Schedule 3. That is given in section 129. Okay, when will the financial statements of a company be considered to be giving a true and fair view? If they are in compliance with accounting standards and schedule 3. That is given in section 129. Okay, right. You are appointed as an auditor of the company under section 139. Section 139 is regarding the appointment of the company auditor. Under section 143 of the Companies Act, the powers and duties of the company auditor have been given. I hope everybody is with me. Yes, those of you who've been feeling sleepy have paused the lecture, splashed some water on their face and are all active. Okay, no thought also of sleepiness should come over here. It is not no entry only to that thought. Okay, so section 139 is regarding the appointment of the company auditor. Okay, auditor is appointed by the board of directors, shareholders, CNAG under section 139. Under 143, the rights and duties of the company auditor have been given. What is one of the duty or right of the company auditor? It is his duty to report on the accounts examined by him. Duty to report on the accounts examined by him, okay, whether the financial statements give a true and fair view. Now look at the interlinking over here. You have been appointed under 139, auditor. 143 says that auditor, you have to report on true and fair view of financial statements. 129 says that financial statements will give a true and fair view if they are in compliance with accounting standard schedule 3. So what message do you derive from by understanding these two together? Yes, 143 says that you have to express an opinion on the true and fair view. It's your duty to report. 129 says that financial statements will be considered to be giving a true and fair view if they are in compliance with accounting standards and schedule 3. Right, that means the financial statements of a company, yes, will give a true and fair view if they are in compliance with accounting standard schedule 3. That means as an auditor, if I have to express an opinion on whether or not the financial statements give a true and fair view, I need to check whether these financial statements have been prepared by the management in accordance with accounting standards and schedule 3. I repeat. As an auditor, I have to express an opinion on true and fair view. Companies Act section 129 says financial statements will give true and fair view if they are in compliance with accounting standards and schedule 3. So what is the combined effect of it? It says that as an auditor, when I have to express an opinion on the true and fair view of financial statements, I need to check as an auditor whether these financial statements are in compliance with accounting standards and the schedule 3. Right, so now if I go back to that AFRF, so certainly when I am doing an audit, I need to check whether the financial statements have been prepared by the management in accordance with an applicable financial reporting framework. Why I need to check whether they have been prepared? Only then I will be in a position to express an opinion whether or not they give a true and fair view or not. Okay. And then what is the last part of the overall objective? To report the findings of the auditor, and how to report the findings of the auditor in accordance with the standards on auditing. Right, so once again let's have a look at the overall objective of the audit: to obtain a reasonable assurance. What? That the financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, thereby enabling the auditor to express an opinion whether or not the financial statements have been prepared by the management in accordance with an applicable financial reporting framework, and then to report the findings of the auditor in accordance with the standards on auditing. See, if AFRF is not followed, any case say AS2 not followed, or any of the IND AS not followed, or schedule 3 not followed, so that means it's a misstatement. And if it exceeds materiality, in that case it's a material misstatement. So in that case, is it free from material misstatement? No. So any AS not followed, any schedule 3 disclosure not done, that itself leads to a misstatement. And if it exceeds materiality, it becomes a material misstatement. In that case, you will have to modify your opinion. Can you give a clean report? Can you give an unmodified opinion in that case? No, you won't be able to give. If everything is as per ASN Schedule 3, no fraud, material fraud error, then no material misstatement, free from material misstatement, then can you give a clear chit? Can you express an opinion saying true and fair? Yes, in that case you can express an opinion saying true and fair. So what is the overall objective of the auditor? To obtain a reasonable assurance. What? That the financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to report on the financial statements and communicate as required by the essays in accordance with the auditor's finding. What they have done in this part, they have probably, reduced, compressed the overall objective of the audit. But rather than repeating it later on, what I have done is, you can just have, I have covered this entire definition with you, which is there in 200, yes, page number 10 on your books. Overall objective of the auditor. Are you all with me? Right. In conducting an audit of financial statements, the overall objectives of the auditor are, I am reading the book with you because I need to hold your finger and take you through the entire book. Right. To obtain a reasonable assurance, are you all having a highlighter within your hands? Yes, about whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, thereby enabling the auditor to express an opinion on whether the financial statements are prepared in all material respects in accordance with an applicable financial reporting framework, and then to report on the financial statements and communicate as required by the essays in accordance with the auditor's findings. So based on your findings, accordingly you will report in the as per the requirements of the essays, that is the standards on auditing. Okay, more regarding this overall objective we will certainly study when we come to essay 200. But right now let's get back to our main chapter, okay, wherein we are discussing the heading of objective and scope of an audit. So do you think that the entire aspects, all aspects related to the financial statement should be covered in the audit? All areas should be covered, like cash, debtors, creditor, provision, fixed assets, investment, debenture, rent, insurance, electricity. Should all these areas be covered in the financial statement audit? Yes, that is the scope of your audit. You understand? Objective means why are you doing the audit, and scope means what all you are going to cover in the audit. In simple word term, if I have to say what is your scope of audit, your scope is financial statement. Anything directly or indirectly related to financial statement, that is covered in your audit. Okay, so like inventory, physical verification of inventory, attending the count, will it be covered? Yes, because indirectly it affects the inventory valuation. So will it be covered in the scope of audit? Yes. Okay, cash and bank balances, will they be covered in the scope of audit? Yes. Client tells you, CA, we are not going to give you the BRS, the bank reconciliation statement. Then what is that? That is a restriction on the scope of the audit. That is a limitation on the scope of the audit. Then in that case, will we be able to express an opinion on the entire financial statement? No. See, in order to express an opinion, I should have checked now that about all areas of financial statement. Now, bank ka BRS they have not given me only. So then how will I check? Then how will I form an opinion? So in that case, I need to create a reservation in my report. We will come to that later also. But right now, you understand, in that case, you will have to create a reservation in your report. You will have to create a qualification in your report. It's like, if I explain it to you in terms of a chart. Okay, so like, say 90% of the areas of financial statement, they've given you the information. For 10%, they've not given you the information. See, 100% they give you the information, no restriction, no limitation on the scope of audit. But any particular area or full audit only they don't give you the information, then in that case you need to modify your report. So what is the scope of audit? In simple, to begin with, what is the key term? Financial statement. and they tell you कि debtors का checking नहीं करना है, FA check नहीं करना है. So then what does that become? That becomes a limitation on the scope of audit. Is it okay? Yes, limitation on the scope of audit. Yes, limitation on the scope of audit. Right, so to form an opinion, the auditor should be satisfied that accounting information is reliable and sufficient, because this is also, later on it will come in one of the inherent limitation of an audit. I told you, what if the data provided by management is only not reliable? They have 20 bank accounts, they've told you we have only 10 bank accounts. Now, see, then the purpose of getting an audit done is only defeated if the raw data provided to the auditor is manipulated. Okay, so reliable and sufficient, all aspects should be covered. Yes, he should check whether the information is properly disclosed. Yes, the auditor is not expected to perform duties which fall outside the scope of his competence. So, they are telling CA ke hamare production ka process, you give us some advice regarding how to we increase the efficiency of our production process. Now we say, see, this is what area I cannot advise you upon. You call an engineer, you call some technical guy for the same. I am not the person to help you with how to improve the production performance of your machinery. So obviously that falls outside the scope. And constraints on the scope of audit, what I called it as limitation or restriction on scope of audit, would impair. Impair means it would harm the audit, or it will affect the auditor's ability to express an unqualified opinion. Unqualified means a clean report and an unmodified opinion. Okay, right, so what have I discussed with you so far? One page over in your books. Okay, so page 1 is definition of auditing. Then as an auditor, to express an opinion, to ensure that financial statements are not misleading anybody, he should satisfy himself regarding what? Right, and then what is the objective of audit and the scope of audit. Okay, now I come to the next question, which is regarding the principal aspects to be covered in an audit or the overall audit approach. Right, what is the next heading which you need to now study? Principal aspects to be covered in an audit. Or alternative drafting of the question in your exams could also be discuss the overall audit approach. So principal aspects to be covered in an audit or the overall audit approach. Now again, for some general information before I go to this particular question as such. Okay, before I go to this one, I use generally 3 notations in the class. Okay, one where I tell you a particular question or a concept which I am discussing with you, I tell you that please mark it as an ATF. What does ATF stand for? All time favorite. All time favorite question which has been asked by ICAI previously, plus there is a probability that this question could be repeated. Out of ATF, a very few rare ones, I also mark them as ATF mein top 10. We also mark them as ATF mein top 10. Right, so that is one. So like principal aspects to be covered in an audit, I am going to make you mark this question as an ATF. So आगे जाके when I come to a particular concept, I am going to simply tell you कि mark the ये ATF है question. ATF मतलब all time favorite. It has been asked previously. There is a probability that it could be repeated. Then few questions I make you mark them as R raised to 10. R raised to 10 means read and revise 10 times before the exam. 10 times literally means 10 times, not just for the sake of a number. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Literally it means 10 times. What you can do, you can use your tally ka sticks for that. You understand? In statistics you use some concept of ticking, sometimes. So you draw these 10 sticks at that particular question. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And one time you finish studying, cut one take. Second time you finish studying, cut one take. Third. So that time you will have a control. Okay, really have you finished studying it 10 times. So what is that? Read, revise it 10 times before the exam. Question not asked so far. Opening ceremony awaited. and not asked, something new which has come, some numbers which have changed in over there. So not asked so far. There is a probability that this question could be asked in the exams. If it is not asked, please don't tell me anything. But yes, it's a general analysis. I've been teaching audit at inter and final level since September 2009. So I'm very confident that I have seen many more suggested in Aarti. Right, so R raised to 10 means read revise 10 times before the exam, and R raised to 50 means read revise 50 times before the exam. Question not asked so far, but you know, a very high probability of it being asked in the exams. Right, so ATF, R raised to 10 and R raised to 50, right? These are the three notations which I will be using for some particular questions or concepts as and when I discuss in the class. Right. So right now, what is the heading which we are discussing is 6 mark, 8 mark question in your exam, that is regarding the principal aspects to be covered in an audit or the overall audit approach. Yes, principal aspects to be covered in an audit or the overall audit approach. First, let's try to understand the heading, because you know, sometimes you know the points, you know the question, but you don't know कि ये question के ये points है. You are just like, you know, the match the following doesn't happen. Once somebody gives you a hint, अरे ये तो वो वाला पूछा था, then you remember all the points. But in the exam hall, it has to click to you ना कि अच्छा ये question पूछा है तो, you know, if these are the points which are required to be written. Or sometimes you have understood the question but you don't know the points. So then also you should be able to write on your own. Right. So principal aspects to be covered in an audit, also known as the overall audit approach. Okay, you have to give us a snapshot. You have to give us a glimpse of what exactly auditor you cover in an audit. What all do you do in an audit? So it's a starting point for any audit is auditor, you need to understand the accounting system and the internal control system in your in the client organization. So what is the starting point? Point number 1, accounting and internal control system. Like, you know, internal control system. So, you know, when you've done any live classes or so, when you enter into the classroom, your receipts are checked before you enter into the classroom. Or when some material has been issued to you, it's written behind your receipt book, that the material issued or notes provided. Okay, why? That's a part of an internal control system. And many shops where you go for shopping, okay, you bill your products and then after that you do the payment, and then there is a separate delivery counter. So what you do, you show your payment receipt over there and then you get the delivery. So what is that? That's an internal control system to prevent, detect or correct frauds and errors, to standardize, to bring about efficiency, effectiveness in the operations in the organization. And now one would be the accounting system in which all the entries in the books of account have been passed. Yes, in which all the entries in the books of account have been passed. And second would be the internal control system. Right, internal control system means all the policies and procedures. So accounting system and internal control system. Right, then after that it says auditor, when you are doing an audit, you need to understand the systems and procedures at your client place. Okay, what is their procedure for recording sales? Yes, so principal aspects to be covered in an audit. 1, you have to understand the accounting system and the internal control system at your client place. Second, you need to understand their systems and procedures. Okay, what is their procedure for recording sales? What is their procedure for processing salaries of employee every month? What is their procedure for purchase of a new asset? What is their procedure for discarding an existing asset because it has been, what you say, worn out or something? Right, so systems and procedures, yani an SOP, a standard operating procedure for each and every activity operation which is taking place in the organization. So when I go for an audit, I have to express an opinion on financial statements, but in order to express that opinion, what all aspects are to be covered in the audit is what we are discussing. So starting point as auditor, you have to understand their internal control system, accounting system. Second, you need to understand interlinked to accounting internal control system is their systems and procedures. Third, as a part of your auditor, you also need to check for the mathematical or the arithmetical accuracy of the books of account. Okay. Now, earlier you used to check only mathematical accuracy. Now it is that along with mathematical accuracy, I told you, you also check for reliability of financial reporting. But yes, mathematical accuracy is one aspect, yani ke depreciation, rent, interest, royalty, whether all these calculations have been done correctly, you need to check them. Next one, whether there is proper distinction between capital and revenue expenditure. So, capital revenue distinction should not happen, no, that rent for premises have been paid for 6 months and 6 months rent has been capitalized. Would it give a true and fair view of the state of affairs? Certainly not. Or say that a building has been purchased and it has been entirely charged to profit and loss account. Will it give a true and fair view? Again, it will not. Right, so proper distinction between capital and revenue expenditure. And third one over here, which I have already discussed in my first answer along with the definition of audit, is the comparison with the underlying records. Yes, comparison with the underlying records. Like I told you, financial statements, balance sheet, the numbers are coming from the schedules. In the schedules, they are coming from the TB. In the trial balance, they are coming from the ledger. In the ledger, they are coming from the books of prime entry. And in the books of prime entry, they are coming from the voucher. So, comparison with the underlying record should not happen if you try to check the books of account and the financial statements of the company. There is no interlinkage between the two. They are absolutely different. Books of account mein sales are seen as 20 crore, ya financial statements mein sale is 270 crore. Yes, will it give a true and fair view? No. So, comparison with the underlying records. And during your articleship, you do a lot of referencing, no? Like, say this is balance sheet. So, let me just name it as BS1. Okay, just for your example. Okay, so say this is balance sheet. This is the schedule. This is the trial balance. This is the ledger. Just let me take 4 for example right now. Balance sheet, so say let me name it as BS1. Schedule, so say S1, that page I am numbering it, TB1, and say this is L1, or inventory ka working paper hai to I1, and say the data which I am trying to check is inventory 200 crore. So everywhere what will be written? Inventory 200 crore in all the papers. It has to be the same, no? Inventory 200 crore. So now see, in ledger, now you might be knowing, or rather I'll teach you if you don't know, okay, incoming references are given on the left hand side and outgoing references are given on the right hand side. Okay, incoming on the left and outgoing on the right, and all for all referencing you use the red color pen. Okay, so now from the ledger, this inventory 200 crore is going where? It is going to TB1. In the trial balance, from where is it coming? It is coming from I1. From trial balance, where is it going? S1, schedule 1. In the schedule, from where it is coming? TB1. Okay. From the schedule, where it is going? BS1. You getting? Right. And in the balance sheet, from where is it coming? S1. And obviously, it's not going anywhere from there. Okay. So, what is this? Comparison with the underlying records. From the ledger to the TB, from the TB to the schedule, from the schedule to the face of the balance sheet and P&L. Right, so that is the comparison with the underlying records. So what are the next 3 things which you need to cover in your audit? You need to check arithmetical accuracy, proper distinction between capital, revenue, expenditure, and you also need to do the comparison with the underlying records. Next one, as a part of your audit covered aspects to be covered in your audit, auditor, you need to also check for the validity of the transactions, and you also need to do the verification of the assets and liabilities. validity of transactions and verification of assets and liabilities. Okay, now I told you that in your syllabus you also have a chapter called as the audit of the items of financial statement. So mainly I am going to talk about the audit of the profit and loss account items and the balance sheet items. So profit and loss account, again same, rent, insurance, electricity, purchases, purchase return. And balance sheet would be what? Property, plant, equipment, cash in bank, investments, debtors, bills receivable, provision. These are balance sheet items. So grammatically speaking, or in terms of words, if I say, whenever you are doing the checking of a profit and loss account item, यानी कि profit and loss account item you have all the transactions and entries, and balance sheet you have all the balances. That is why balance sheet is as at and profit and loss account is for the year ended. So technically when you do the checking of transactions, that is you do the checking of profit and loss account items, it is called as vouching. And a vouch means to check the supporting, to examine the documentary evidences. We will be seeing that. And whenever you are doing the checking of a balance sheet item, yani ki you are checking up balance, it is technically referred to as verification. So in your exams you will see a question as how will you vouch / verify the following: purchases, building, sales return, insurance. So when it is a balance sheet item you need to verify, and when it's a profit and loss account item you need to vouch it. And a vouching, verification. So balances we verify and transactions we vouch. So that is the next 2 points over there. Validity of transactions. So now I can also call it as the vouching of transactions, and the verification of assets and liabilities. What is the heading we are discussing? Principal aspects to be covered in an audit or the overall audit approach. What are the first 2 points? Accounting, internal control system, systems and procedures. Next 2 points, next 3 points: mathematical accuracy, comparison with underlying records, capital revenue, distinction. Next 2, vouching, verification. And now coming to the last 3. Okay, what are the last 3 points? It says auditor, as a part of your audit of financial statements, you also need to check whether the laws and regulations which are applicable to the entity, whether these have been complied with or not. Simple example, say some bonus is being given to the employees. So whether the bonus computation has been done as per the provisions of the Payment of Bonus Act. You understand, advance tax has been paid, so whether it has been calculated as per the Income Tax Act. So provisions of laws and regulations, so statutory requirements, whether those have been complied with or not. Next one, auditor, you also need to check for the reporting requirements. Like company law also specifies a lot of reporting requirements on the statutory auditor. Right, and then the duties of company auditor. And finally, auditor, you have to express an opinion on the true and fair view. Right, so these are what? These are the principal aspects to be covered in an audit. How many points in the principal aspects to be covered in an audit? In total 10 points. How have these 10 points been divided? 2, 3, 2, 3. 2, 3, 2, 3. So we always remember principal aspects to be covered in an audit, overall audit approach 2, 3, 2, 3. What is 2, 3, 2, 3? 2, accounting system, internal control system, systems and procedures. 3, mathematical accuracy, capital revenue distinction, comparison with underlying records. 2, vouching, verification. 3, statutory requirements, reporting requirements, and true and fair view. Right, what is that? That is the principal aspects to be covered in an audit, or which could also be referred to as the overall audit approach. Right, so what did I tell you? This question is to be marked as an ATF. Right, so an examination of the system of accounting and internal control to ascertain whether it is appropriate for the business and helps in properly recording all transactions. Then reviewing the systems and procedures, whether they are adequate and comprehensive. Checking the mathematical accuracy by verification of postings and balances. Right, then capital revenue distinction between items of capital and revenue. Right, items of capital and revenue nature. Right, items of capital and revenue nature, that various items of income and expenditure adjusted in the accounts are related to the period. Then comparison with the underlying records, underlying records. Right, then vouching and verification. So verification of assets, liabilities, they've made it 2 points. That's fair enough. Okay, so verification of the authenticity and the validity of the transactions entered into by examination of the entries in the books with the supporting documents. And supporting on the basis of which the entry has been passed. Right, then title, existence, value of assets and verification of liabilities. Then where the auditors of a corporate body, that statutory requirements have been complied with. Statutory requirements means what? The laws and regulations have been complied with. Okay, then reporting to the appropriate person whether the statement of accounts reveal a true and fair view of the state of affairs and result. State of affairs is reflected by the balance sheet and result is reflected by the profit and loss account. And finally, we're checking the state of affairs shown by the balance sheet and results shown by the profit and loss are true and fair. So this is more or less the same point. Okay, does everybody understand? Principal aspects to be covered in an audit, which can also be referred to as the overall audit approach. Okay, so what have we studied so far? Yes, what are the questions that we have done so far? Definition of audit, what are the points which the auditor needs to check for so that the financial statements are not misleading to anybody. Next, we studied what is the objective and scope of the audit. In the objective, we went to SA 200, wherein we studied the overall objective of the independent auditor. And then the third question which we just covered, which was regarding the principal aspects to be covered in an audit, that is the overall audit approach. Right, one last question for the time. Right, what is that? The types of audit, a very simple question. Right, types of audit, again an ATF. Has this question been asked previously? Yes. Yes, so very simple. Types of audit. Okay, so first primary classification has been done under two. One, audits required under law. Audits required by law, audits required by law or audits required under law. And second one is the voluntary audit, where there is no legal requirement for getting an audit done, but due to the advantages associated with an independent audit, voluntarily they may get an audit done. Like say for example 3, sole proprietorship. Is there a legal requirement that a sole proprietor is required to get its financial statements audited? No. If you exceed the tax audit limit, then you have to get a tax audit done, that is different. But a regular, true and fair financial statement audit, is it given under any law? No. Similarly, for partnership firm, I told you that partnership law, yes, Partnership Act, does it mention regarding the audit of a partnership firm? No. Voluntarily, the partners of the firm, can they decide that the accounts of the firm should be audited? Yes, due to the advantages. It's easy to settle the accounts of a retirement and admission of a partner. And also the third one over there is the HUF, that is the Hindu Undivided Family. So what question am I discussing with you? Types of audit. Okay, what does it say? Audits required under law and voluntary audit. Audit required, voluntary audit, where there is no legal requirement for getting an audit done, but voluntarily on their own, due to the advantages associated with an independent audit, they may get an audit done. Okay, and second one is the audits required under law, where there is a legal requirement that you need to get your accounts audited. Like companies registered under the Companies Act 2013, LLPs registered under the LLPs Act. Yes, banking companies registered under the Banking Regulation Act. Electricity supply companies regulated under the Electricity Supply Act. Are you getting? Electricity supply companies, insurance companies regulated by the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority Act, right? Then after that also the cooperative societies as governed by the Cooperative Societies Act 1912. Then also the trust, under the Bombay Trust Act, certain trusts are also required to get their financial statements audited. Then also these, what do they say, Income Tax Act, if your income exceeds 1 crore or 25 lakh, then as per the income tax law also require, if you exceed the particular amount, you are required to get your financial statements audited. So that is the legal requirement where it is specified under law that the entity needs to get its financial statements audited, right? So types of audit primarily divided under two: audits required under law and the voluntary audits. So under voluntary we have mainly three: sole proprietors, partnership firm and HUF, right? And under the audits required under law, one, we have the companies governed by the Companies Act 2013. Banking companies governed by the Banking Regulation Act 1949. Okay, so it's very correct to mention it this way: banking companies governed by the Banking Regulation Act 1949. That's a complete healthy sentence which you can write, not just writing the headings. Now here I was just preparing snippets, so I just made a small list, but in the exams you have to write properly. Companies governed by the Companies Act 2013. Banking companies governed by the Banking Regulation Act 1949. Be 110% sure regarding the year. Okay. Electricity supply companies governed by the Electricity Supply Act. Cooperative societies registered under the Cooperative Societies Act. Public and charitable trusts registered under the various religious and endowment acts. Corporations set up under an act of parliament such as the LIC. So this is one more which we can add to our list. Corporations set up under an act of parliament like LIC, UTI, GIC and even ICAI. You see, that's set up under an act of parliament, right? Corporations. Then even now the GST audit. If your turnover exceeds 1 crore, you are required to get a GST audit done. Right, so specified entities under the various sections of the Income Tax Act and also the sales tax and VAT. VAT is now no more there, so you can mention in case of VAT that it is GST. Right, so what are these? So that's a very, see, I told you, it's not that everything is going to be very difficult. Overall objective was very technical. But now types of audit, light, halka fulka type of question. Right, so what are the types of audit? Audit required under law, and then you have the voluntary audit where there is no legal requirement, like for sole proprietor, partnership and HUF. And legal requirement for getting an audit done: banking, then those three best friends, company, and then three best friends: banking, insurance, electricity. Then you have the corporations, cooperative society, trust, and then Income Tax Act and GST, that is direct tax law and indirect tax law. And that is how you can remember regarding the types of audit. Right, so tomorrow we shall continue further into chapter 1, wherein we will study the advantages, limitations, relationship of auditing with other disciplines, qualities of an auditor, independence of auditor, very important, and probably we should also start with joint audit, where more than one firm of auditors has been appointed. So actually speaking, we have not covered much of the syllabus, but we have just had a briefing of the subject today. We have just had more of an introduction before starting with the chapter of Introduction to Auditing. Okay, so with that we stop here for today. Yes, thank you.